Left it on. Howdy, folks. Welcome to the Shadow and Sun Show. And welcome Off Grid, George, our GM for hire. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
Can you guys hear
Glad to
me?
hear. Oh, yeah, you're fine. I'm going to
Great.
actually move everybody around in a minute. George, I read what you wrote. Very impressed. Digging it.
The DAI did it. So
Well,
the
like I was telling Off Grid, I'm going to credit you with all that. Because all you have to do is go in and change 20% of the wording, and it's yours.
yeah.
So
What I was surprised is that because I it pulled from real Star Wars lore appropriately. Like I didn't say anything about like Mandalore the Ultimate or anything like that, and it put that in there. It didn't say
really,
I didn't say Vrook Lamar, but Vrook Lamar is right from the Old Republic video game. So that was pretty.
okay, I don't remember that, but and I don't know where Omen is. He'll be joining us shortly, or uh, he will forever
Hey, Hungar.
come as late.
So what I need to do is pull my I sent some PDFs out. So
I added a couple little details to my character sheet. I hope you don't mind.
yeah, that's what I figured was going to happen today. So we'll move things around, and when we're done, just send it out. And
What's up, Hungar? The only thing I added was that one that tool that we talked about, and I added a couple of little words in there so you'd have an idea of what I'm shooting for.
okay,
Because there's one way it could go, but I wanted another way just in case. It'll be pretty obvious. And
cool. I was actually, when I was working on making a template for Off Grid, I was thinking about you were saying about the grappling hook.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of in one of the prequel movies they had Django Fett had a grappling hook. So
Yeah,
yeah. So I ended up because I was looking up like Mandalorian stuff, and it was like, oh, okay, let me find something there. And I gave I just and we can find other stuff, or I can just give you guys a budget for so many credits to find some stuff out of the book.
Good. So I'm really looking forward to this. I was thinking right before the show, as Off Grid and I were talking about his background, which is freaking awesome. Um, I'm normally like Tanner had requested that I played a song for the last book report, but I was like leery because I knew that there was a way that someone could claim it, even though he said it was public domain, and I'm like, it's for a video game, that's somebody's property.
Yeah,
But I would love to have our own like Star Wars theme for the opening for this show.
yeah.
I tried writing something, or having AI write something for the God Wars, but it was so weak, and I just wanted music, just hardcore orchestral, William Tell overture, that kind of thing, and no,
I was
wasn't
like,
having it.
I tried some stuff in like Suno, and it would
That's what I was using.
it kept throwing piano in it. I'm like saying Wagner and trumpets and
Right?
Orff and all sorts of stuff, and John Williams, and it's just like piano stuff in the middle of it. I'm like, oh damn,
Yeah, no piano.
it just didn't get it.
Strings and drums.
Yeah,
Just
if I it is a lot of stuff is very derivative, so like you could always find but I don't get the whole like like duty free. It's like you're shopping the royalty free music. I don't quite know what you have to do. I see some stuff on like YouTube, like you could literally just pull in Wagner's the Valkyries or whatever, and that's very Star Wars. You could do the planets from I forget who does that one. There's like the one that's like
the Mars Bringer of War and all that.
Yeah.
okay.
And
if you guys find some things, you send me some audio files, and I could put it in Restream and experiment with it, because I mean, come on, we deserve that,
Yeah.
if we're gonna play Star Wars. the thing that gets most people just instantly in tune with it is, pardon the pun, the music. I
Yeah.
remember to this day, I still remember seeing that first movie in the drive-in theater, and I was just, instantly. I'd seen a few movies in the drive-in, but that one, was just like you could hear a pin drop in the car.
Yeah.
Just everybody was just like, "What the hell?" And it was, off to the races from that moment on. And I may go talk to Bear because that's his new thing now is music, and maybe he knows something since he's a little more in tune with that. Again, sorry with the puns. So, real quick, I wanted to thank everybody for checking out this morning's video. Uh, Great to have Jackie back by my side doing the thing. Uh, it was so much fun, so many memories. 5 years ago, he was just 12-year-old little spud, and now he's a big grown ass man. And there we have. Speaking of grown ass men, Owen, welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. A couple of things, I wanted to talk before the show, but since everybody was just doing other things, uh, I would like to, normally we joke more than we play. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more in characterness. I'm sure George would appreciate that as well. But at the same time, it'll probably give him breaks to catch his breath if we are goofing off. But for everybody at
Sure.
home, uh, you know, let's see what we could do. What the heck, right?
Less on the Spaceballs side of things.
Well, I mean, if something truly like uniquely ridiculous
Organically comes
happening,
up.
yeah, but
No
uh,
schlock humor.
yeah. Let's just try to be a little more in character. And if that character ends up being hilarious, Omen, then
Unless porn related, absolutely.
right. So where do you want to start, George? I'm actually going to
Oh,
move you in the driver's seat because.
okay. Yeah, we could.
George and I have worked on my character more, so whichever of you guys needs to work on yours first, that would be
Well,
good.
what I was hoping for before we even get into that is George sets the scene for everybody out there in TV land, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, yeah. So first thing, okay. So we plan on playing probably 2 weeks from today, the first session. The idea is that we're playing a Star Wars game. One of the things was it's like trying to think of something to play to GM for everybody. We're all like going to be guest GM for a game here and there, and I was thinking of a Western, and I'm like maybe what kind of Western game, and maybe a Western sci-fi, and then like oh wait, Star Wars is kind of a Western sci-fi, so that's where this sort of led to, and we'll the system I chose, which is we're a bunch of old grognards here, so it's the original West End D6 Star Wars with the various updates. So it'll be second edition, which came out I
So
think in
this
'96.
version,
Second
Yeah,
edition. So
yeah.
so yep. The other thing is for all of you
not
out there
this version.
is Legion of Myth has been going over stuff, but if you go to the D6 Holocron, they have all of the books in PDF that you can get apparently legally. So
Yeah.
everyone can talk about piracy. You don't have to use piracy at all. D6 Holocron has all the books that we will be using.
Can
Yeah,
you provide us a link there, Omen, later?
Sure.
yeah. There might be in one of my Discord as well, but I'll we can always update one. Yeah, D6 Hologram has a lot of stuff, old modules, supplements, and the it's hard to tell which is what you can kind of just look by the date, maybe guess which one's second edition and first edition. There's not too much of a difference from what I've been following, like watching Max Liao's videos, where
Okay.
he's doing 1E. One of the main difference is there's no initiative in 1E. 2E has an initiative. The and the other thing is of course the wild dice. So when you're everything's expressed in the number of dice.
Okay, I just
So
put up the. Sorry, go ahead.
oh, there you go.
No, I just put up the link so Shadow can put that up for anyone that's watching.
Yeah,
One thing I'm curious about is the caps. Are you going to cap the force dice and the character dice. Like the non-force sensitive characters get to keep pooling dice the way force sensitive do. Because I was told that was a great thing about second edition that they didn't bring into second edition revised.
Oh, yeah, I can double check on that. But yeah, what if you?
There you go.
Yeah, I could totally do that. And I'm trying to. My fear is about balancing it,
Mhm.
and so when Omen came, he said he wanted to play a droid. I figured I'd give him extra stuff, but he's made the droid pretty dang powerful. With your character, I giving you the option. You're going for like a Mandalorian
Yep.
mercenary bounty hunter type. And if you want them to be force sensitive, we can. And if not, we could just take those. The force skills are called control, sense, and alter,
Mhm.
and we could just take those and just convert those into skills.
Okay.
And
No, I think everyone's allowed 18 points for stats.
Yeah.
And again, George can always change this. And then your force dice counts against your stats. So the more force power you have, the lower your stats actually are, oddly enough. But the system does allow you to increase your stats over time. And your race for second edition, they didn't do this in first edition, but for second edition, your race does have a cap. It's kind of a soft cap, which means you have to pay a lot more. I don't think we'll get far enough for that, but like Wookiees are allowed to get like 6 dice in what is it, brawn or whatever,
Strength, yeah.
strength. They're allowed to get to 6 dice, but humans are only allowed to get up to 4. And
Yeah.
that was a change from first edition. First edition, you could just throw dice wherever you wanted, so you could get Ewoks that are like that are stronger than Wookiees. They changed
The racial
that.
caps makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have regular caps, and so that's again. I don't know how George wants to do it, but basically, I think it's what is it? Is it 18 dice for stats and 7 dice for skills?
Yeah. 18 for 18 for stats, 7 for skills, and I think the force, the control, sense, and alter. Those are they go up as skills from what I remember. So like, and the stats don't go up.
Well, so in second edition, sorry, because I was reading through this while I was making my droid.
Mm-hmm.
In second edition, here's where the difference comes in. If you're allowed to get up to your racial maximum,
mm-hmm.
And it's basically it goes by single points, so you can split it up.
Mm-hmm.
So your dice. So if you have 4D plus 1, let's say you're a Wookiee. If you want to go to 4D plus 2, it costs you 40 experience points. And then when you go to 4D plus 2, then you go 4D plus 3, that costs you another 40. And then when you go up to, and then it would cost you another 40 to get up to like 5. And then once you're at 5, then you pay 50. And so it goes up slowly and incrementally. And for force dice, if you have an instructor, you can pay like the same thing for theirs. But
I think
if you don't have an instructor, you have to pay double the experience points. So it's whatever your numbers in the front, it's 10 times that to get it up by 1 point. And then
So how do experience points work, and how are they earned?
Oh, they're character points, they call them.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think I'm just going to try to give you as much character points to just kind of get you the skills you want the next encounter, the next sessions. So at the end of each session, I'll just say, put a dice where you want or something like that. I think because it gets a little complicated because it's like Omen was saying, like if you want to increase it's. Oh, let me for anybody who doesn't understand the system out there that's listening is so that everything's expressed in dice. So you have let's say 4 dice in dexterity.
So
and then there's also a dice can be broken up into into 3 pips actually. So let's say I have those 18 to spread out, and I'm like, I want to be a little bit more spread out. I got too many in this thing, so I'll take, but not. I don't want to move an entire dice. I want to move a part of a dice. You could take 1 dice and break it up into 3 pips. So the 3 pips, then you can. So it will be in the form of like a 2D plus 1, 2D plus 2. There's no 2D plus 3. You would have to put the other pip into something else. So let's say you're making your character, you had let's say extra perception. And you're like, I don't need that. You take a dice out of it, you break it into 3 pips, and then you spread it out. You're like, I'm going to put 1 pip in dexterity and 2 pips in strength, or one pip in dexterity, 1 pip in mechanical, and 1 pip in strength, or something like that. But there's no 3 plus 3. I think in 1E there might have been a plus 3, so it's only so you can go up to plus 3. And as the character points, you get to, I think they equal a pip, not a whole dice. So when you're like giving character points, you have to increase it. Let's say you get a character point to spend. You spend 1 pip on you spend 1 character point to add a pip to a skill.
So I you have to correct me on this. It might be 2 points per skill, and it's like 10 points per stat, because stats improve all your skills.
And I think also when you're increasing it above 1 dice or above 2 dice, you have to add it more than just 1 pip. So let's say you're increasing your blaster skill, for example, and you have 2 pips, 2 dice in blaster, and you want to do increase it to the next level to 3 dice. You'd have to spend 3 pips. But from 3 to 4, you're spending more character points in that.
If you want, Shadow, I don't know if you can do this. If you can probably bring it up for the PDF from the website we gave you for the revised and expanded 2nd edition.
Yeah, re-up it's called.
Yeah,
but we can go over that another time. I think we might get a little lost in the weeds on that, because just to get started, just kind of the basics is like your everything's expressed in dice. It's not like you have a 18 strength. You have 3 dice in strength. It's very literal, which I kind of like, because it's like, oh, what I have to roll? Well, it says what you have to roll in the thing. And in the case of, let's say, some kind of roll for, let's say you're shooting somebody, you're adding each skill that you're using, let's say like blaster skill, has an associated stat with it, which would be like in that case would be dexterity. Mm-hmm. And you would take your dex, add that to how many dice you have in blaster, and then use that for your roll. So let's say you have a 3 dex and 2 dice in blaster, you roll 5 dice. And in the case of when you roll that, you keep track of 1. Like let's say, in the case like you might have 1 dice, it's a red dice, and that would be the wild die, which explodes on 6s, and on a 1 there's a sort of a kind of a special event, like, oh, you ran out of ammo or something bad happens.
A complication.
Thank you. Yeah. So
what are you shooting for on each die? Like a 4, 5, 6?
No. You add all your dice together to meet a skill number. So let's say it's a certain skill number 15. If you're rolling 3 dice, that's kind of hard. If you're rolling 6 dice, it's pretty easy. So it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, and like an easy roll would be like the equivalent of a 1 die. Like okay, roll. I would never probably even make you guys roll a 1 dice or something. Any moderate roll, it's like roughly a 7 or better, which would be like the equivalent of a 2 dice roll. And then I think 10, 11 for a hard difficulty, and then it works up. And in the books it has the actual numbers to figure for. But one way to do it is you just roll. You could just, for higher difficulties, you add dice, roll it behind the screen, and see what comes up, and then you say that's the difficulty.
So a good example is George goes over and you say, well, I'm going to shoot this guy at long range. Like, well, that's great. But by the way, I'm upside down, and there's a heavy wind, and I'm just coming out of carbonite, so I'm kind of blind. And then it's like, all right, so you start adding all those up. It's like, well, normally this is an easy roll, but because you've got all that, you need a 30, which is like a heroic. You're like, oh, okay. And George will have to correct us on this. You can use a force point, and your force points are per adventure. They're not just there. You double the number of dice you roll for that task.
Yeah, it doubles the nice dice for the round. You could use a character point to double the dice on the specific roll, and or you could use a force point to double your dice on on that round. And when we get into how the rounds work, because you do multiple actions on rounds, but you are taking penalties. But if you have a lot of dice in some kind of thing, once you it makes sense to add more actions within a round.
So for every action, like he's talking about, so the higher your number of dice, the more actions you can do, and
Yeah.
you subtract that many dice from the roll, if I remember correctly. So if you do
Yeah.
3 actions, let's say, you want to fire. Let's say that you have an 8 in blaster. If you fire 4 times, then I think you roll 46 in all 4 of those.
Yeah.
And if you want to, you're like, you know what? This is all easy. I'm going to just roll 3 dice in all of them, and I'm going to use 5 shots. But
Yeah.
if you say I really want to aim kind of thing, then you say, you know what? I'm just going to take 1 shot and use all 8 dice. So that's where the difference comes in.
Yeah, and the thing about the force points is that it does it for the whole round. So let's say there are reactions, there are double rolls for let's say you're getting hit or something like that. All those other actions during that round are being affected by that force point. So I think there's some exceptions. I'm not sure if a strength roll is like strength roll is how you resist damage. I think it includes those as well.
So it's basically your armor plus your strength,
Mhm.
and then they have to roll above. They have to roll above basically it's a contested roll. And if the damage rolls above that, then depending on what the roll is, whether you take a wound or you're stunned. Which is why if you have a really high strength and armor, you can walk through a lot of stuff. Which is why George is like, you really put a lot in that strength. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. So strength is in a lot of games it's almost like a not quite a dump stat, but like Dex is everything. In this case, strength is like your HP. Not really HP technically because it's that's another thing we can go into on how damage works. There are various states of damage. You are stunned, you are wounded, you are double wounded, you are incapacitated, and of course just mortally wounded, and then just outright killed outright. I think there's a certain role that does that, but and I may have missed one, but
and one other thing, when he's talking about character points, you can also put character points into your starship.
Yeah, that was a
I just remember them talking about that. But yeah, the difference between first and second edition is in first you couldn't raise your stats, and second you can. So first was really heavy loaded into skills after you started.
Nice, Bo.
Oh, okay. I have a little I've printed out a little sort of a dungeon screen, kind of one of those little things where they have a little cheat sheet for all this stuff. So we were talking about difficulties earlier, just in general, just a kind of target numbers. So for very easy it would be 1 to 5, the equivalent of a difficulty. I was like, oh, roll a 5 or better to I don't know to hack that computer. It's a very easy computer to hack, I guess. Easy difficulty would be 6 to 10, which is something that's doable with 2 dice, but not it's kind of a 50-50 chance of getting it. Moderate difficulty would be the target number would be between 11 and 15. Difficulty, which would be like something like using a lightsaber is difficult. That would be 16 to 20. Very difficult, the target number would be between 21 and 30, and heroic difficulties are 31 and up.
And if George is looking at the Game Master screen, so for example, for damage and things, is like a blaster pistol does 4 dice of damage. A heavy blast pistol is 5. And then some of the like E-Web repeating blasters, like 8 damage, or a thermal detonator is 10 dice of damage.
Shadow has a high technical skill. You might want to look into those.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking along the lines of those and of a couple other gadgets, but we'll get to that.
And then some of them, like your melee weapons, are you add it has damage and you add your strength to it. So like a lightsaber, which if anyone's interested in, a lightsaber is 5 dice of damage base, and then you add your control stat to it. So if you have a control of 5, you're doing 10 dice of damage with a lightsaber.
One thing I have to double check on, because it shows lightsaber as a dex skill, but for Jedi they use it. They use their control and their sense. So
I don't know.
all three.
It's possible to get a Jedi lightsaber swing more powerful than a starship's turbo lasers. I remember that was an issue.
Yeah.
Well, that's theoretical.
Okay.
There's a certain point where, like everything else, where people take it to absurd levels.
Yeah.
But
Power
at a
game
certain,
it out,
how much is what it comes down to is like every system. This is why I usually like having a limitation in certain systems. But like for a droid, in my case, I can't roll above 13 dice. But it takes an awful lot to get 13 dice. So
Okay.
if you're playing long enough, theoretically, you can get really high for your control. But at that point, the game's probably not as much fun. There's a certain point where there's diminishing returns. We're getting so powerful where it doesn't feel like it. But yeah, the lightsaber usually, we're talking about it for about a year or two. You're probably going to be, and if you want more and more damage for your lightsaber, you just keep adding more and more control. And
Yeah, I think the best thing is to not make us too OP off the start. Then we will never have that like our lives are threatened kind of feeling kind of thing if we skate through. And this kind of setting needs that feeling of mortality to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a pretty dangerous system, actually. So just be aware of that when you start looking at it. Like it's showing for the damage, and remember we're talking differences. So one side rolls damage, one side rolls their armor plus their strength. If the damage is 0 to 3 above, you're stunned. If it's 4 to 8, you become wounded. If it's 9 to 12, you become incapacitated. If it's 13 to 15, you're mortally wounded, and if it's 16 plus, you're dead. So when you start getting someone with a high lightsaber skill, most things are rolling 3, maybe 4 dice, and you might be rolling 10 dice in damage. So you're probably going to get, if you're probably going to like kill whatever you hit in one blow.
You'd expect that though.
Yes, but that said, is if you get a really powerful armored opponent, then it might be 10 dice versus 10 dice, and so you're just whacking at him, and you might not be doing too much damage at all. So
This also leads into another section is scale chart. So let's say you pull up like a walker, like one of those little chicken walkers, from Return of the Jedi, and it would have these numbers for the dice, and it's like what a person has so many dice in damage, and it's like similar as a little walker, but there are scales and there's multiples that you kind of work with. So for example, character scale is say this is all relative to character scale. Then there's speeder scale, like the little hovercraft that Luke had. That would be double. Like if something's at speeder scale, it's double the damage. But also for a character, they have double the avoidance. Like they can, if they're dodging, they can avoid it more easily. They're harder to hit from a speeder scale. Hitting from the larger scale down, it's more difficult.
Mm-hmm. It's logical.
And, but the damage once you hit is increased.
Nothing left.
So then there's a walker scale, which would be like the little walkers, the chicken walkers, and the AT-ATs. They're 4D, so they're like quadruple the character scale. Starfighter scale, so like an X-wing, 6D versus a character.
6 0?
6 dice. So let's say the starfighter is shooting another starfighter, you just use the numbers that are written on there for its damage or for its attack for its damage. But for the starfighter is shooting at a character, they're at like a 1/6 to hit it, but they're at a 6 times in damage to kill a person. Mm-hmm. And there's various cross-reference, like starfighter versus speeder or starfighter versus walker. I think starfighter is also the same for the transport class. So the YT freighters, the Corellian cruisers, the fire sprays. Not cruisers, the Corellian, like the kind of ship that you'd get as a character in this game.
The YT 1300, like freighter type thing.
Yeah, that stuff. And then there's capital ship scale, so that would be like the Hammerhead corvettes and the And then large battle station scales would be Death Star scale. And that's like 24. Capital ship scales to 12D. Death Star scales 24D.
And what it does is it limits your attack dice against these things, and then it limits your damage dice to them, if I remember correctly. So it's like,
Yeah.
Just like, oh, I can do this. Like, yeah, you think you can, but we don't care what kind of armor you have because you're at a smaller scale.
Yeah. And,
So.
yeah, and it would be easier for you to hit, let's say, a AT-AT with a blaster, but it's not doing much. Or if it does hit, yeah.
I think AD&D would have benefited from a codified system like that as far as scale went. They kind of touch on it with the small, medium, large damage, and the halflings and stuff are harder to hit. But an overarching system would have been awesome. So it would have mitigated how powerful dragons really are when they're hitting player characters. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but at this point, if you're doing that as it's the breath weapon that kills you more than yeah, you could dodge some, but yeah, no, it's got to hit, to dodge, and to damage. So those are your caps, and one versus the other. It's like a character versus a walker. One of them is like, oh, you can only do 2 dice of damage to this, and they can have up to 6 dice to resist. You're like, oh, okay. So yeah,
armor's not going to do it. You best be able to duck, dodge, roll. How does that saying go from dodgeball?
Yeah.
Duck, dodge, weave.
Duck, dodge, dive, and dodge. Yeah. The 4 Ds is like it has dodge twice. Yeah.
That's also important skill in this game is dodge. So let's say you're not sure what to do, just dodge the entire round.
Dodge into a shadow.
Yeah. And there's also reactions. So you could your reaction could be a dodge. So this whole sort of a round mechanic. So each round we determine who goes first, and probably just to simplify it, we'll just do bad guys, good guys, or well, you guys are the bad guys. So if one side of view. Yeah, exactly. He did die from a certain point of view.
So I mean, they have some templates in here. Like you're talking about you have a young Jedi, and then they would have 3 dice in Dex, 2 dice in knowledge, 2 dice in mechanics, 4 dice in perception, 2 dice in strength, and 2 dice in technical. But then they have 1 die in control, sense, and alter, and then you pick your skills after that. And but then the failed Jedi, it's 2D plus 2, 3D plus 1, 2D, and so really what I think it comes down to is, I guess the first thing to do is start putting your stats down. Like what do you want for your stats and what skills are applied to that? Because your stats will apply to all of this. And I think in second edition they have something called A, which means that's advanced, and only characters that are high enough can get that. So you can't just learn how to be a surgeon, over a week. You can do first aid, but you can't just do the surgeon immediately. It's so.
Yeah, and for
That's
those
some serious downtime.
For those listening that aren't as knowledgeable about the system, this is an old system. This came out before the prequels. This came out in the 80s, so not far after when the Return of the Jedi came out.
It was 87 or 89, I think, when this came out.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And so there's Jedi were very mysterious at that point. We only seen 3 on the screen, 3 on the screen, 1 2 and 2 Sith. So 5 Force users, and their powers are kind of mysterious. We don't know what's going on. It's very little. I think there was a little more in the novelizations, which very few people read. So the game was geared towards not playing as a Jedi, and so you see a lot of things in these templates, these old templates, they're failed Jedi. One of my favorite ones, and when I watched Rogue One recently, I'm like, oh my god, did they get this from this? A quixotic Jedi. So that's basically kind of a person that's claiming to be a Jedi. They're not necessarily a Jedi. They don't even necessarily have to have force powers, so they maybe have 1 or 2. I think in the template they have one point and something. And it reminds me of that guy, the guy. What is it? I'm one with the Force. The Force is one with me. I'm one with the Force.
Oh yeah.
So,
that guy.
So everyone has a force point. If you're force sensitive, you start off with 2 force points. And I'm looking at this. It says start off with 5 character points. And And really, if you really want to do it, is and then everyone gets how it's going on. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in there.
Yeah. So what I ended up going, anybody who wanted to be a force sensitive, I just gave them one in each. I figured they'll be learning. They're like just kind of discovering they're a Jedi, or force sensitive. And I was looking up at some of the rules, and you don't. And when I read further on, you didn't have to. There were you have the general skills. They almost act. One of the things is they act like attributes almost. The control, sense, and alter. But
Okay.
you don't have Jedi skills. Those are kind of the skills. You have Jedi powers, like force powers. For example, then every time you get you put a point in one of those three, control, sense, or alter, you can get a force power, a new power. So you can get like telekinesis. You can get modify attributes. You can get force push and stuff like that. And there's a whole list in the books, and each attribute is
I didn't
governed
hear
by
Force Lightning.
force lightning is in there. Yeah,
but,
force
but
lightning.
here's the
in there.
problem: you get dark force points for that once you get a certain. And George is going to go through. Here's what it really comes down to: is I guess the big thing is while we're describing all the rules, here's what it comes down to. Whatever you need to roll, there's a target number, and that there's for force powers. If you roll above it, you can do it, and if you roll below it, then it just fails. So it's like Luke trying to, get the lightsaber, when he dropped it from the Wampa. It's like he kept trying to do it, and it wasn't working, so he kept trying to do it again. Yeah. So no, I'm not. Yeah. So I mean, there's certain times, and the more that you have in your control, sense, and alter. Some of them require both of the skills to be in there. Some of them you can do if you have one or the other.
Some require all three.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think what it says is you're allowed to pick how you want it to manifest if it's not in the book. So it's not that you're just limited what's in the book.
Yeah,
but that's
I think it even says you could try one that you don't have as well.
And this is. So I guess the best thing to do here is if you're going to do a session 0, instead of trying to explain, we're trying to explain a bunch of rules, but that's basically it. However many dice you have, roll that against the target number. If you roll above, you succeed. Boom, that's it. You can use character points. I'm looking at it. Every character point you spend on a roll, you can add 1 dice. If you roll a 6, then that explodes as well on that. You can only spend on one at a time after skill or attribute roll is made. And then your force points allow you to do it for the entire round. It doubles all of your die codes. So if all of a sudden you have like a 10 blaster and you decide to fire 6 shots, and then you go, I'm going to use a force point. Now you're rolling 8 dice for all 6 of your shots. So you could really like wipe out, and force points though are only regained if you do something heroic. If you don't, then they get burned forever.
I'm screwed.
Right? Yeah. And then if you're like do something almost self-sacrificing, you'll get it immediately. Like it's like something, do something for good, something altruistic. You get it back at the end of the session. Something just like but if you put your life at risk, you will significantly at risk. You will get it back immediately.
And dark force points, as they start going in there, you have to do more and more evil things to get more and more dark force points. So that's why at a certain point, the Emperor can't spend a lot of his dark force points because he can't do enough evil to gain more. So he kind of like has like, I got to destroy entire planets to get one. It's like, well, gee, so it's a diminishing returns for them.
The other thing is there is a corruption. So the Emperor, he can't if he's not using the Force constantly to adjust his ability, is like physical stats, he's an invalid because the dark side has aged him beyond like a normal lifespan.
He needs continuous clones.
Yeah. Well, no, that's exactly it. It's just clones start dying off so fast. But then, so what happened here apparently was Star Wars was effectively dead. No one was doing everything. The toys had died out. They brought this out. They got it real cheap. Apparently, it sold so well because they didn't realize like all the late where everyone wanted to play a Jedi and stuff.
it sold so well that they did, I think, the Thrawn trilogy. They wrote some of their own books. George Lucas decided to incorporate what they had done in this RPG into Star Wars canon.
It's still where the lore was coming from for a lot of years. Like, the lore came from West End Games, literally. A lot of it.
Exactly. And then I think West End Games unfortunately went bankrupt, and that's when they kind of lost the license at that point. I will bring up one thing. So anyway, it's a pretty simple system. It's actually very deadly if you aren't careful. And I guess really the best thing is start trying to create characters and figure out what you want to do. And George, do you have a template for them, or did you?
Oh yeah, I mailed them some templates, and I put in some stuff. But if you guys want to go template by template, we can kind of move things around. Some things I did, like I added some force powers, but we don't have to have them. What I was looking up at with regards to force powers, you guys have such low stats anyway. In that, I'm just giving you one in each. You just kind of find some easy stuff like telekinesis and stuff like that. I think force jump I gave somebody. They have a lot of them have prerequisites. It says it's optional to ignore that. So depending, if it was a long game, maybe we could do the prerequisites. But I think it might be not a short game, but if it's kind of want you guys to be able to get the stuff that you want, even if it's a little bit breaking the rules. So if there's like something that has a prerequisite and you want it, we could work with that.
So basically what we're saying is we want to get you enough of I guess George wants to give you enough of a feel that you can feel like Jedi without being so weak. It's like, I'm just learning, like,
force choke is like a hard one. It has you have to have so many things to do force choke. And in this, it's called actually like force kill or something like that. It's like, and then you just get to say what you're doing. Like, oh, I'm choking him, or I don't know, giving him a heart attack or something like that with the force. And you have to have detect life, inflict wounds, and all sorts of things on top of that to get to that point. I think just kind of we should probably skip some of those requirements. But I did kind of make I think I made them work with the system that uses them, where they have the prerequisites. But if you guys want to move things around and pick some of the easier skills, that I'm fine with that. I mean, powers.
Yeah, and the powers require a certain level anyway. So it's some of them it's a 15. Well, if you have a control of 1, you're not rolling a 15 for the usual. Because you're only rolling 1 die, and the highest you get is a 6. I guess if you're rolling a wild die, it can get up higher. But
and if you guys want, you can move some of those dice in control, sense, and alter, and make yourself I got 1 in each. Like if you want to have 2 in control and get rid of alter for the time being, you can always add more later.
Okay. I can see this being more the direction of my character, like the force sensitive side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Mandalorian mainly being the background, that's his roots. Kind of trains one, kind of stepping away, kind of thing. And if Shadow's going to be like a Sith kind of deal, then I could fill in the role of Padawan learner because he's further along in it. I guess it wouldn't be Padawan; it'd just be Sith apprentice. Or something.
Yeah,
you don't get corruption if you aren't a force user. So
it could. That could work. I like that. And I might alter things. What I was thinking is, since force sensitives are rare, how is it that you guys got together? It's randomly. So I'm figuring that there is another figure that's not necessarily your teacher, but he or she is pulling you guys into his orbit, and that's how you guys are meeting. But yes, if you prefer that setup, I can always alter things like that.
Okay. And we have 2 weeks to work on it too, so
yeah.
What are we playing next week?
I ordered the book because I don't have my original. And that thing's it was about $100, and then on top of custom and all that.
So again, if you go to the Holocron, they have the book out there for PDF for free.
Yeah, they have the re-up. I think they even have some of the earlier
They have first
editions.
edition, second edition, the revised, expanded. They have all of the books that West End Games actually produced for Star Wars.
So all those galaxy guides, they're amazing, and like
Yeah,
the
they're all
various
in there.
guides. Yeah.
So you're allowed to get them. If you want a physical copy, that's great. If you guys just want to use the PDFs, then you can get them for free online without worrying about someone knocking on your door.
Oh no, I'm so worried that the Pinkertons are going to come. Yeah, no.
They'd
Well,
have
you
to
say
arrest
that, but
America
I
at this
mean,
point.
Yeah.
we are talking about WotC and Hasbro, so
Yeah, they're
and
pretty
Disney and Disney. It's not like Disney's a good person either. This isn't like the old George Lucas.
So
I didn't think Disney was actually a person. So I got a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at my sheet because honestly, unless I get more points to spend right now, my character is good to go except for one thing I'm not real thrilled about, or not really thrilled about it. I'm completely in the dark about, which was the hibernation trance.
that's where I think was one of the things that when I was trying to make it is one of those skill powers that was required to do some of the other ones later on. So I gave
Okay,
you
what
that.
what does that
But you
do?
can- It,
You basically, if you're in a place with low oxygen or stuff like this, or like
Okay,
apparently in one of the books, Luke Skywalker,
Yeah.
he was in his starship and he was he had no power or anything, so he sent out a distress beacon, and so he put
Okay.
himself in hibernation until someone could rescue him, so he didn't starve to death or asphyxiate.
okay.
yeah. But
That sounds a little more useful then.
yeah.
And the other two are pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But control. Yeah, go ahead.
Control pain actually lets you actually continue to fight through through wounded states.
Okay.
So I think even incapacitated will let you fight through.
Okay, I'm good with those three then. So
And
like
I
I said, unless I have,
and we can
all
switch-
like when you went and did the skills for me, I
Mhm.
gotta have everything you put down.
Mhm.
I can't. I literally can't live without any of them. So switching them around is not a thing. Um,
the and we can find a different one for hibernation trance because I think when I was setting those up, I didn't read the section that said that you could ignore the the prerequisites if you want to, and I think I had so I hadn't decided. So we can add another one if you want, maybe something that's easier, like one of the easy things, so you can do something, and depending on what it has, maybe move one of your dice like from alter or sense to work with those things.
well, I was already thinking, with my plans. The 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 hibernation one. Uh, if my character's never left the planet, kind of thing, which I kind of assume he might never have used that before.
Mhm.
Uh, whereas like the sense one, absolutely need that one. Doing
Mhm.
what I do, that's a real handy one.
Yeah, like the life detect, see if somebody's in a room, some guards
Mhm.
in there. The all right, so if you want, we can try to find something to replace hibernation trance as a kind of a little bit of a exercise right now. Do you want to? We could look up some of the powers.
Yeah, if you could just
So,
rattle them off, because I can't.
oh, it's a massive list, but
Oh, really?
Well,
it,
you have the book, Shadow. Why don't you open up your
What
book?
page is it on?
Well, I don't know. Go look in the appendix. I mean,
let
that's
me
what
pull
it's
up
there
the,
for.
Well, it should be in the table of contents.
That's what I mean. It should be
Hold on,
neither one,
I need to
but
deal with
hopefully
the
in
dog.
both. We guys can give you hell for that one there, Shadow.
Okay. Skill list. Scales, vehicles. Oh, here we go.
Sorry
I'm
about that.
third.
So, and I'm in the re-up book. And that's if you're following from the PDF from the revised expanded from the D6 hologram website.
Revised and expanded. Okay.
The re-up.
Yeah.
Let's see here. That is on the Force 146. And if you
I got. Okay. Well, it starts before that, but yeah. Okay, 146.
that's on the PDF that I linked in the Discord, Jedi Code, Force Training, and it's kind of sucks because it's like I wish it just had a list. That's what I ended up having to do with the skills as well. So Force skills, teachers, Force powers. Here we go. That is an ugly art.
So alter.
So let's see, control power. So it gives them under control, and then like
Oh shit! I don't need. I don't need to go any further. Under alter, the second one is telekinesis.
Telekinesis. Okay,
That's no brainer.
great.
Let me just swap that out. So,
And it tells you, easy for like 1 to 10 kilograms, moderate for 11 to 100,
Can I just-
so like that. Yeah.
because when my fingers can't do the work, then
And then if can be used to attack other characters, but this automatically gives a Jedi a dark side point. Though, the way that George is going to do it is you probably won't automatically get dark side points because otherwise because normally in the game, if you get it over a certain number of dark side points, you lose control of your character and he becomes a villain.
right.
I'm thinking once you get to that point, we'll start rolling on like a corruption table.
Yeah.
And what I'm thinking, I'm coming up with some ideas, and if you guys have something cool, like for example, the yellow eyes.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and then like, you see like your friend from high school, and he's just like, "What are you sick or something? Are you all right?" The other thing is,
don't worry about it. It's not contagious. Unless you want it to be contagious, I'm looking for a few.
maybe even something that might be like even beneficial, like you grow claws. Like you get like I'm seeing like the I think the Emperor had like these long fingernails. I'm like, maybe you grow claws and you get like +1 to like your for unarmed combat. You might not, by that point you might not be using that stuff, but just kind of a little flavor. I always see these bright red Sith Twi'leks. And I never see any other Twi'leks that aren't bright red. That's not like a.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but
And-
one of the things I noticed about the Sith is they all get like really pale skin.
Mm.
Well,
You
that's
know,
an option on it depends on which ones you're looking at because some of the Sith become. Remember, if you let. They do.
Well, there's
different ones
Vader,
with-
Palpatine, and
Mhm.
right off the bat, I was thinking, who's the guy from Knights of the Old Republic with no lower jaw?
Yeah, Malik.
That's what I thought.
Even Anakin at the end of Return of the Jedi, he's just like a pale potato in an suit of armor.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying if you start looking at the other ones like Darth Maul and
Yeah,
a lot of these others, Dooku, several of these others that get into it, they do not necessarily become that.
That's not bad about that all.
he hasn't gotten that far. So yeah, so I was thinking,
Literally, they're all
maybe-
English actors. They're all going to
maybe-
be pale.
yeah. He's not pale. He's English.
Well, and there is a certain thing if you look on page 142, it does tell you in certain things in there, like when you start adding difficulty levels and things like that. So,
Yeah.
They're going to get
I
sunken
think
eyes and wrinkled skin.
So yeah, so I was thinking making a table that you can roll on. Let's say like once, your color changes. Now like, okay, like for example, OG's character, he's not a fan of aliens, possibly. And yeah, so he might like roll and like, oh, your skin color changed. Okay, rolling the dice. Oh, you just became 3 shades paler. Or you just got bright red skin and now people think you're a Fiorian. Or you got bright blue skin and they think you're a Chiss. Or something like that. Like maybe it could complicate things. Maybe it's like I said, like you meet somebody or you're in a situation now where people thinking you're some other alien than a human or something like that. And then like other things, we can do. What I think it did say even in the book something about like diseases that you can get. I was thinking of those fissures in like the Emperor's face, or just kind of the basic roll would be kind of the average roll. Let's say if the table is like a 2d6 kind of setup where you roll a 7, you add 5 years to your life, and next thing you know, if your character starts getting to like over 60, we're starting to hit some of their physical attributes.
Hey,
But I
now.
don't think, yeah, like I always love I love it in travel areas. Tell everybody, it's like, yeah, at 34, you're rolling on the the aging table.
Hmm.
Yeah, in theory, I've rolled on the aging table. What now? At least over about 20 years of aging. So that's 5 times on the aging table with a lot of negatives. That's it.
Well, but the idea though is also at that point is you're supposed to be more of in the background and not it reminds me of watching a lot of people complain about certain things. I was looking at different system, but for acts, like of course you're retrained because you're not going in the dungeon anymore. You're the king. You care about commanding armies, not how easily you can kill goblins. That was the problem. Looking at it, it's like not just your level; it's also like where's your focus. Um,
One thing I'm thinking is that it could be another explanation for the masks that they all wear. It's just
Yeah.
Right.
like they're like masking like their Sith corruption. The
It's sort of
yellow.
like the Doctor Doom complex.
Hmm.
He's got that tiny little scar, but to him it's Elephant Man, and so he puts on the Doom suit.
Yeah, the dark side. So where were we? Oh yeah, the force powers. So you got telekinesis. All right, and I'll take a look. Maybe see telekinesis is an alter. The other one, life detection, is a sense. And what was the first one?
Resist pain.
Resist pain. That's a
I'm
control?
good with those three.
Okay.
I can all of those will come in
Yeah,
very handy.
and you guys don't have too many dice in those things. That's what I'm worried about. So maybe I'll just make the rolls relatively easy. I'll adjust the rolls at least for the first few sessions to
Well, yeah, and
to do that.
it's up to us to not get ourselves into too sticky a situation that we can't handle.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're not, and you won't be lifting a starship. You'll be lifting maybe somebody's keys off of them or something like that.
Crap! I just saw this. It says lightsaber combat. You add your sense to your lightsaber skill.
Okay, so then you add the sense to the lightsaber skill. So the lightsaber skill is a dex. So let's say you have a 4 dex, 1 sense. Then you'll have
And then you have one in
and let's say you have
lightsaber
one in
skill.
light combat.
Then you get like 6
Yeah,
dice
and then so you
to attack.
exactly.
And then your control is basically 5
That's
dice
your-
plus. Yeah.
Yeah, your damage.
Yeah. Plus your controls point. So it's not too much when you're at lower levels. It's when you get really. I mean, when I started looking at some of them, they're like, "Well, this is control 14," and I went, "I'm sorry, that's even a bit much for Darth Vader and the others."
Mhm.
When you start looking, it's like That's the problem. I look at some of these. Like you would probably be on the 5 or 6 range. Because I don't remember Vader really moving too much for the most part.
Well, Empire Strikes Back, he was throwing cargo containers at him like they were friggin', Easter eggs.
Yeah, he wasn't throwing really big ones.
Who knows what's in them?
They still weren't that big. I mean,
Well,
what I'm
yeah,
referring
but
to.
a gold brick is this big. You want to get hit with it? I mean,
Yeah, but there's a difference between being thrown and having a you don't understand what I'm saying. When you have like a control of 14, you can start throwing. I mean, at that point, you're literally throwing
chicken walkers.
starships at each other. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what
What's
no. I mean, a 5. I mean, as much as you're joking about it, a 5 would easily throw a gold brick with no problem.
What was the
That's
game
what
where
I'm
the guy pulled like a star destroyer out of the sky? It was like one of the games.
Wasn't it Jedi Outcast too?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Force Unleashed or Jedi Outcast was one of those.
I think I have it.
I had one where I was playing Survivor, Jedi Survivor. It's the one that came out 2 years ago, and at one point it gives you the option of actually whatever those things from what was the last prequel, Return of the Sith, where they come in flying in, and the character literally pulls it down into the ground to cause it to explode. I'm like, yeah, you can do some of that, but it doesn't require. That was my point. Is when I looked at some of the characters that they had in there, it's like they gave them 14s and 15s, and you realize that you don't need 14s and 15s to do heroic stuff. You
6s and 7s can do a lot of that crap, and that's what I was referring to. Is it seemed like they just added so much to it without having to. And that's why I'd be like, well, we're gonna keep this down to a certain level. But yeah, I mean, if you get like a sense of 5 and you get a control of 5, and that's where I think like Luke Skywalker, I think one of them has like a control of 14, like so you're doing 20 dice of damage, every time you swing a lightsaber. That seems a little excessive.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm thinking with the like the leveling up and the teachings and finding skills, I think a lot of it's going to be kind of since you guys are kind of going the Sith route, holocrons, like just finding, and we can, hand wave a lot of the teaching or finding a teacher through that.
So George, how many? I mean, we're only looking 6 sessions or something like that.
If
We
as
we
many
can
as needed.
literally we can play as long as you guys are up to it,
Yeah.
or until Omen is ready to run Alien.
Well, I'm just going to wait until George does, but I think that was the idea, was that we were going to work for like 2 months or something through there. That's what I was trying to refer to.
Yeah,
let's see,
What game are we playing next week?
September, October. Next week we might not be playing at all. We might just have a regular good old fashioned shadow chat, which we haven't had in.
Okay. I thought if we're doing session 0 now, we could do it. We can start playing Star Wars next week. That's what I was just asking.
I might need more than a week to get it.
Okay, that's fine. If you need more time.
I just might need a little more than a week to get it figured.
No rush, George. Don't.
One thing I want to get from you guys is just the idea of what kind of game you want. Do you guys want to be like?
Actually, George, I don't know about game that I want, but I sent you that book. It's only the first issue. The post office is insane. I kid you not, just absolutely freaking batshit crazy. To send one comic book, mind you, it was in a special comic book box.
Mm-hmm.
It was like $7.50. The comic book I sent you literally is like a 50-cent comic book. Even though it's a number 1, it's not in great shape, and I expect you to just toss it out or whatever, But they're just absolutely insane. But it has a strong. It's kind of like where I assume my character is from, a world like that, or something like that. You can take what you want and toss out the rest. But to give you an idea, it's a little more adult than Star Wars, but we're all adults here, and I'm certain that every world in the Star Wars canon galaxy is not,
It's about the feel of the game. It's not so much that bad things don't happen in this world. It's like most things.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, all the bad things can happen, but it's we're playing Star Wars. We're doing like PG-13 at worst.
Okay.
It's a little more than PG-13. Oops. But, maybe that's why I left, because it was so,
Did anybody just observe the Gorman massacre?
The Gorman?
What?
Oh,
seems
from
a little more than PG-13. It's like the Star Wars is growing up with the audience. It seems.
Yeah, what was what's the name? Andor.
Yep. They just went hardcore on that. It'd probably scare. They wouldn't put that in a theater. Let's put it that way. They wouldn't be bringing their kids to see it.
Well, I haven't seen it, but I mean that's probably still PG-13 unless there's a lot of guts going everywhere.
Not sure.
Well, what about
Rogue
One? I mean, everybody dies at the end of Rogue One.
That's still a PG-13. We're talking R's. Usually hardcore blood, guts everywhere.
The cool thing about Andor, I didn't realize when I was watching it, because it'd been years since I'd watched Rogue One, that it was a setup for Rogue One. I'm like, I didn't realize that that's the guy from Rogue One. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the prequel to, isn't it the prequel to, Rogue One? So.
Yeah.
It's like we're still getting to see some stuff in George's universe, like literally around his framework with this series. Which is pretty cool.
It's unfortunate by my understanding, and I've heard a lot of good things about Andor, but it's unfortunate that, Kathleen Kennedy, which amazed me because you start looking at her pedigree, she shouldn't have done any of this crap, and instead she went full retard feminist. And
I wanted that Underworlds, and this could be like Underworlds, the thing that was supposed to happen, this feels like Underworld, Star Wars Underworld. The beginning.
Well, again, PG-13 is in there. let's be honest. What does that mean? You're probably not going to have rape. You're not going to have, gore everywhere,
Oh,
and that's the
well,
rest is going to be. I mean, if you look at what is PG-13, in most cases, that's Indiana Jones, that is Return of the Sith, that was Lord of the Rings. What were some of the other ones out there that were like PG-13? They're still pretty violent. Even a lot of the war films are like PG-13, unless you get
I'm surprised the Tauntaun scene made it through the ratings, because literally they cut open a belly and guts pour out, and then they stuff a person into it.
Yeah,
So,
but remember, this was the same time that we had Indiana Jones with the melting of the face,
Yeah.
and that was still PG.
yeah, true.
Did they have the rating PG-13 at that time? I think they might
No,
have.
they did not.
Okay,
But
so
I
it
think
wasn't an
that
option. They're like,
I mean, when you look at it, is first off, while they did the guts, it wasn't like, it wasn't like an actual animal kind of thing.
True. It wasn't red.
and
Yeah, it wasn't red, and it wasn't. I mean, it's not that the limbs weren't lopped
Like
off. The
Angus.
Wampa lost a limb. What was the other one limb that he lost a hand? But it was it was like, okay, it would have been, maybe they would have rated it PG-13 nowadays, but it was right at that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I've noticed that PG is like if you're under 12,
Yes.
So
how do you stick him to the ceiling? I don't understand. Like how he just puts him in the ceiling and ice just formed around his legs.
he might have like hawked a loogie,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
well, it was a good
or
large.
something else. Just saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
It wasn't yellow. This is not normal snow.
Yeah, but I mean, when your diet is snow, you're probably going to pee, snow.
That's not the way it works for me. If I drink clear water, it doesn't come out, clear.
never saw any yellow snow in Empire Strikes Back.
That's right. well, but I mean, but you did have, but yeah, but I think that's about the level. Like I said, for my son, is I'd have no problems with him watching it when he was 8. I think I saw Empire Strikes Back when I was 6 or 7. I mean, I was right at that age because my birthday was last month. It was right at that. I remember when I went to Star Wars. You want to talk about illegal? We got in there and people were still coming in, and they were sitting literally in the aisles, up and down. And I was like, "Holy crap!" But yeah, it was.
I was, obviously I was a little older, but I actually read the paperback novel that I got from the Albertsons across the street. I was like, no way, the book's out already, and I read it. And when I got to the Luke, I'm your father, I was just like screaming at the book as I think I was like 14 or something, and it was like, no, this can't be real, just full on traumatized. And then I went to the movie theater, and I'm pretty sure I was like bawling my eyes out at the end.
See, my mother had already tagged that, because she said, "Oh, this is such a literary device." She said, "Luke's," because my mother had said that during the first movie, Luke and Leia are brother and sister because that's a literary device, and then of course Darth Vader's the father. And people are like, "No, you're not."
Well, from what I heard, it was actually, according to what I heard, it was David Prowse's idea of the him being the father before Lucas had thought of that, which is awesome because I actually met David Prowse, which is weird. He was at a football game. I was playing football, and he, for whatever reason, there were flyers and everything. I might even still have the flyer, and I knew he was going to be there on the day we were playing. So I grabbed one of my Empire Strikes Back cards and had him autograph it there. And I swear, I was only, not the same height I am now. And he was just like freaking to the sky. He was just in costume, the whole bit, and it was
Nice.
awesome.
The what I heard was that they were trying to keep it secret, so much secret, so they didn't even tell what's his name, Hamill, that they told. So when they filmed the line, and the line that he's actually literally acting to, was that the Darth Vader says to him, "Obi-Wan killed your father," and so he's going, "No, that's impossible." He's saying it to that line. It's kind of cool.
That is cool.
I find it interesting how they use different names during the production for the sets where they were setting up. Like I think it was Blue, wasn't it Blue Harvest?
Blue Harvest, yeah, Blue
Jedi.
Harvest, yeah. Well, guys, I mean, prior to Star Wars, when it came to at least science fiction, I don't know about The Godfather, but the only thing that had come before that was even close to what we saw in popularity, etc., was the Planet of the Apes. So they had, they really had no idea what to expect with the first one, but when the second one was out, it was.
So I'm gonna. I mean, again, this is looking at back in the day, only hearing third hand. When it came down to special effects, first off, the only thing close to that was 2001,
Mhm.
and the special effects in that people were in what was that 69 or something like that. Anyway, they said that people were literally going, "Wow, oh my god," just on how good those special effects were, and then no one really matched that. And then Star Wars came out, and that just blew everything away because he went from like really cheap and cheesy to suddenly Star Wars, which was a whole. And I mean, George Lucas had to build all that stuff from scratch. I mean, what was the only other film that was close? Star Trek, which was kind of bland for a lot of their stuff. A lot of their stuff was smooth. It didn't require that much effort, but yeah, it's and the music. I mean, he nailed everything in there for that. And so I remember I was 18 or something. So we're talking 91, 92. I saw they were having at the Navy base. I think it was two of the Star Wars movies. And even in 92, they completely packed it, at the naval base. And it was double feature, which was cool. You paid like $2 and you went in and it was double feature. And they did that. And then I remember also, what was it? Was it 97, 98, 99 when he brought out the others? When he had done the redone version, which of course everyone complained somewhat about. They reached #1 again in the movie theaters, even though they were 20 something years old, and I'd watched them like dozens of times.
Them multiple times.
And what's funny is I remember watching them, like Sci-Fi would have it on every year. I would watch it on Sci-Fi. I'd still stop whatever I'm doing to watch Star Wars. And then we're like, oh, you're gonna have the movie theater? I'm gonna go out and watch it again. Oh, speaking of which,
Right.
2027, they're gonna bring out
Bring it back there with the theatrical.
They're gonna bring it out. I'm like, I'm probably still gonna go see that in the theater. So I'm like, that's worth going to go see.
Damn right. I never saw it in the theater. No, that's not true. I did see it when they re-released it, like you were saying, in the 90s.
Yeah.
Right before the prequels, when they had the big Taco Bell thing.
Promotions with the cups and the cup toppers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I used to have all those. Sadly, I don't anymore. But I still have the Luke that on card that was given out at when A New Hope, or no, it was Return of the Jedi of the remastered came to the theater. They actually gave out figures that have it written right on there, theatrical edition, not for resale, and I still got that.
I still have my Burger King cups from Empire Strikes Back.
I don't have them anymore. I wish I did. Oh man,
you can actually get them
on eBay and stuff. They're hard.
The set of 4, I think you can get them for less than $80.
Nice.
What I want to know is how are they going to ship them to you? Because you're talking thin glasses.
You know what though is how do you do it? Well, I mean, I get glasses shipped to me. If you wrap them up properly, it shouldn't be any problems. Because I had a bunch of glasses shipped to me through Amazon. Admittedly, they're a bit thicker.
eBay, the sender is responsible for damages. So it's like if they don't protect it right, then you're getting your money back. It's pretty quick with eBay that way.
Right.
So George, what was my what were you going to allow me to have for my lifting?
Oh, I think it was. We wanted to give you some extra skills, right?
Yeah, I mean, since it's session 0, let's
yeah. Let's see, Omen. I think I put something in there. I mean, at least 1 point in lifting. I was thinking maybe some. I don't know how languages are done. I gave OGG the Mandalorian language.
It's 5D if you're a native speaker, if I remember correctly.
Okay, all right. So I'll change it. I just put a Y for like yes.
Okay, well, and really, that's kind of my view on it. Is you just know certain languages,
So
there you go.
Maybe some.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Han Solo could speak, Wookiee apparently, or at least he understood it.
Yeah,
and What was what language was Greedo speaking? You know, it was
Haki,
like,
probably.
Geez, what are they? Rhodian.
yeah,
Rodian.
thank you. I couldn't think of it either. Um, I wouldn't worry about language, which I never do unless you really want it actually to be an issue, like an obstacle.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but basically, I generally assume that everyone can understand each other unless
Yeah.
it's a weird language off the side. So, like, how many people knew Ewok? No one except C-3PO. You know, so,
And he had to
yeah.
kind of figure it out, didn't he?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
an offshoot dialect of something else.
Well,
The,
yeah, but I mean, he always went. I speak 8 million different language or dialects. You're like, okay, you know, at that point, you can do whatever you want. So I have lifting.
Yeah.
You want me to put one
You're
die
right.
in there?
Maybe 2 if you want. That
Okay,
should be
2
fine.
dice in lifting because
The,
we were going
well,
through
you guys,
because
well,
stuff.
actually, maybe we should kind of go through some background ideas and
Okay.
talk about them, and we can kind of pull them in that way. Because I think I'd like you to get a couple more skills. I did want to take away. I think you had like a armor that gave you three.
Yeah.
3D
Well, no,
on
we already,
everything. But
yeah,
just,
we already talked about that. So I
okay, cool.
reduced the armor. Yeah, I've already
Okay,
done
yeah,
that. I think it's
yeah. Because I didn't
So
in the book I couldn't find anything. I didn't see a price on it, and in the book in the re-up book there was nothing that was 3D on everything.
I
So
know.
and the hot
Not
the
a
most
problem.
yeah.
It's not a problem. That's why I had everything applied to that beforehand.
Yeah.
So right now I've got a multi-tool. Should I get a skill to use the multi-tool with, or just use my basic 2 dice here?
Let's figure out. So do you want to tell them the sort of the idea you have, or you want to kind of keep that
Okay. So
secret?
my character is a labor assistance droid that basically is used to like move a lot. Basically, think of it as a hulking robot that basically can is meant to work on how I want to call it is bad environments, but he also does
Hostile?
yeah. Well, I'm talking like
No, hostile environments.
yeah. When I say hostile, look, vacuum is hostile, but I'm saying when I'm saying
Right.
hostile, I mean like high temperature, stuff like that. Things that would fry most people, kind of things. So that's why I wanted to make sure I had enough armor, and then the lifting was going on, and then I have a multi-tool. So what skills do these guys need for like spaceship repair or anything? Really, that's what's coming down to. What do they need?
Yeah.
And then should we throw that
Okay,
into my...
so Shadow has a lot of technical, so
Okay.
he might necessarily have to have the skill, but he has 4 dice in any of these things. So if he has to repair almost anything,
Okay.
he gets 4 dice already. So one thing maybe can I go tell you what my idea was try to pull you guys together into one spot and we can kind of work our way backwards.
Sure.
But we don't have to do that because I don't want to railroad you guys. So if you look at the picture in the thing they had the AI right, I had three articles. One was about basically what's going on with the Mandalorians, and it's pretty much just a dump of info dump from whatever the lore, the legends lore around this period. Their Mandalorians are pretty much saber rattling, and it looks like it's gonna be war between the Republic and Mandalore. And then I have a planet that I made up called Zenparalia, and Zenparalia is kind of inspired by, but not exactly like Casablanca. It's going to be, or in the case of Casablanca, Casablanca was a French place, and the Nazis took the French out relatively early in the war, and the Vichy French are basically, they're not quite allies, but they're not their enemies either. So I'm making a situation where the Mandalorians have basically bullied this planet in the Outer Rim to be their refueling base for possible activities in the area. And then, of course, the next article is about a specific place called Bricks, which is just right out of Casablanca. And it's a casino, hotel, entertainment place. They have pit fights. They have a large aquarium with where they have exotic creatures from the Outer Rim, and an occasional show from the Naughty Nautilin. What's her name? I forget her name was. doing kind of like a swim dancing show, like Esther Williams or something. And
I was thinking Madeline Kahn from Blazing Saddles, but okay.
Nautilins, if you guys do.
Tired.
Yeah. So,
Sorry, guys.
so it's a casino run by a guy named Rick. If you look at the picture of Rick, he looks like basically a yellow version of Darth Maul.
Yep.
Or so, and it's an Ilthorian. I think they say the red is actually a tattoo, but maybe we can have our own head canon that the red is some kind of Sith corruption. So he's an Ilthorian with those horns and stuff, and that's a normal person. Like there are good Ilthorians in the world, so nobody sees what's going on. But he is the figure that's pulled you guys together for some reason. And you guys could work for him. I'm thinking like if you've ever seen Casablanca, it's like round up the usual suspects, and I'm thinking like Shadow might be one of them, and then Rick goes and bails them out.
I could have maybe worked for him or sold something to him.
Yeah,
like maybe
exactly.
I was out on a mission with Mandalorians, and I said, "Well, here's my time to take off. I'm the guy in the shuttle. I'll just leave my team here and say the hell with yous," and took off and sold it to him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and we can ask if you guys want that. I don't know. I don't want to like railroad you guys, but that's the idea. Like just starting you guys out, kind of you guys are working for or in line with, or just been kind of collected by Rick as because he's the nexus that's trying to pull these Force users together.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And you bought me a cheap.
Reminds me of the guy in Heat.
What or maybe won you in a sabacc game or something.
Yeah, but I was bought cheap because you saw that there was a good deal. No one wanted me for the most part. That's kind of intimidating. So,
or like, and the other idea, one of the ideas I had is maybe that like like you said, he could be hiring you guys out as freelancers, and he's sent Shadow on a specific mission to steal something for him. Are you cool with that, Shadow? Or
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're painting. I'm sorry.
No. I'm not even painting. I'm clipping. If you saw my video, I got to be clipping for the next 8 years. I still have stuff unclipped from the very first Kickstarter. But yeah, there are a couple of things I'm going to tell you about that I want to pick up, but they're not going to be easy. So maybe you can work that in as well.
Okay.
Side quests or whatever. If I hear about it, then not necessarily dropping everything, but
yeah.
But at the same time, I was thinking, like with Omen's character and of course Off Grid's. But initially, I was thinking with Omen's character, he might his side quest might be getting rid of that pesky restraining bolt.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I like my restraining bolt. If there's going to be a side quest to remove the restraining bolt, that's because you guys want to remove the restraining bolt, not me.
Well, yeah, then I could steal you.
You already own me.
Well, yeah. Okay, I thought Rick owned you.
Yeah. Or
No.
Or the restraining bolt is malfunctioning from what it sounds like, and maybe somebody's repair skill might have to. Or just to take it off, like just take this restraining. How the hell did he convince him? How did R2D2 convince Luke Skywalker? Is pretty dumb. He's just like he doesn't know what the restraining bolt's for.
Well, because it's an astro droid. What the hell is he going to do? It's not like
Where's he going to go?
Yeah, exactly.
Once the Jawa leave, he's out in the middle of freaking nowhere. There's nowhere to go.
It's not like when someone even reported him as lost. It wasn't like they went over to, like, if the Empire was smart, they would have gone down and said, "Hey, we'll pay you to get this back." Who did you? It's like, all right. Instead, they blew him apart.
They did check the Jawas, so.
Well, they did, but they shot them all. It wasn't even like, well, if anyone's ever watched Troops, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that, OGZ?
Troops? No. Oh yeah, actually, I saw bits and pieces of it where they play stormtroopers.
Yes,
Back in
where
the
they
day,
play
a fan film.
stormtroopers. It's done like
Seen
cops.
bits and pieces, but I can barely remember it.
Yeah, it's you know what, Shadow, you should be playing that right now. You should bring up troops and just so it's
Yeah, there's also these new stormtrooper vlogs
yes.
that are out
Oh,
there. The
Yeah,
AI
you
ones.
shared that, didn't you? Or no? Who did?
I
Matt
think
did.
I put up. Well, I
Matt
saw
did.
that one with the stormtrooper. I did the Sith Daddy,
Yeah.
song in his. If you looked at that one, yeah, you should start bringing some of these up though. Shadow, it's troops from, I think it's like 1998, 1999. When everyone had like 24/4 modems, so it took you like 8 hours to download to play it.
Yeah.
So let me pull up my list. I have a list. Kind of.
Well, another thing I noticed as I was looking through the book, you said something about credits and shopping. So, and I opened right to the page. Wow, this is going to be fun if I can do that. There wasn't a lot on the page, but
Mhm.
actually, yeah, there's still some things in here I wouldn't mind having in addition to what you put, but uh, if there's a
Yeah.
better list, because there's only like 12 items here that we could actually own that don't have like the dash, or sail barges and crap like that, which are obviously out of the question. But
Yeah, I started. I was giving I started realize I was giving OG a lot of stuff, and I gave you like 3 things. So yeah, we got to add some more stuff to your character, like a holster and things like that.
you did the bare minimums, but there's a
Um,
couple of things
ro-
I know. Uh,
I
here's a question. Other than like the namesake shadow power of clouding men's minds, is there a like an invisibility?
there. I don't think I didn't
I
see
don't think
one.
there's an. I don't think
There
there's.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see anything. I mean, there might be something in. There is an illusion. Did I give you illusion?
Hmm.
Okay, there is an illusion spell. It's in the Sith ones. Let me pull up that one. It's in the Sith book. The Sith book. Where is
Well,
it?
anything that you know uh, aids my sneaking, stealth, hide.
Yeah,
Uh, obviously, like I told you before, I specialize in getting in from the outside. Second
yeah.
story work kind of thing. But you know, if there's
Oh, I
there's
gave
ways to hide that,
I
you
gave
know,
OG a rocket pack, so maybe it's rocket up there. But it's
I'm
too
telling
loud.
you, man, the Mandalorians, man, they get the coolest shit. As a kid, oh my god, that was the best thing about Star Wars for me. From the time I got my little Boba Fett with the rocket firing backpack, that was like my favorite toy for like years.
Worst bounty hunter ever. So that was,
I'm thinking some of my gear I may actually like stow or hide or have to alter, just simply because of the Mandalorians are probably hunting for me or have a bounty out on me
Yeah,
for
you know what?
And-
Here's the real
abandoning them
thing.
and stealing your ship.
Why isn't Bo getting in this game?
Um,
Bo,
it could be a work thing. I will invite him if you guys are up to that.
yeah.
I know
If Bo's going to be in here, commenting, why the hell aren't you coming in here, Bo, and try?
Well, he hasn't commented for like an hour, but
Well,
he
yeah.
might have just popped in. I'll ask him because I know he is, kind of interested in getting into a game.
Yeah.
But he works. He works. I think 4 12 hours shifts back to back every week, and the only night he normally has is the Friday night. So I'll ask him as soon as the show's over, unless he's listening, in which case he can chime in, and he can hook up with George and
Yeah.
uh,
We can
you
make a
know.
character. Yeah, it's just your character. The only thing is your character just needs to be kind of doesn't necessarily have to be a bad guy, but needs to be okay with bad guys.
Morally gray.
Yeah,
More what?
Star Wars underworld.
Morally gray.
Morally gray. Yes.
at a minimum.
Yeah.
Psychotically evil. Prefer.
Well, I mean,
That's where corruption suddenly comes in, and also you start watching your stats drop. You start suddenly finding out that you every time you use a force power, it starts leaking from you.
Yeah, because I was thinking about this earlier. Um, I don't have a problem, you know, starting out bad and becoming good. The redemption arc.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I also don't have a problem with starting out bad and getting worse.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
The,
Well,
One
the
thing
only
I
real issue is, and this is the way the system works, is because they wanted to encourage people to take dark side points, is that if you don't put some type of cap on the dark side, it just becomes so overwhelmingly powerful. You're like, why would anyone ever become light side? Whereas when you start adding in like the
well,
negatives and things like that, that's what happens. Is
I, I,
no, I
I
mean
all I need to
mechanically,
do is see the Jedi code to know that it's really not for me.
that's not the point. I'm saying mechanically, it makes the all of a sudden you start getting like, well, I can use 4 dice if I have the dark side points instead of 1 die. So why would anyone become the light side? And you're like, oh yeah, you have to put some type of cap on it, otherwise, you just the game is completely skewed
yeah,
against
Mm,
because
anything
sure,
there.
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
because one of the things is you can when you become a dark side character, instead of force points, you just call on the dark side, and it may or may not come to you. So it's sort of like it's like an at will force point, but
Yeah,
it's tough. It's like it can be, it's great for a villain. Like for your NPC is just like, oh yeah, he's gonna call on the dark side now because he's only in one scene instead of like several.
Well, and part of
Um,
it is that you start getting like if you have 4 dark side points, it adds to your control. So all of a sudden you get 3 or 4 dice instead of just 1 or 2 dice. And so that's what I'm saying is you have to put some kind of balance in there. Otherwise, it's like, well, why isn't everyone just dark side? It's like, oh,
Here we go. Force illusion. This is a lot from the Tales of the Jedi books. This is kind of one of the powers of one of the bad guys. She made like massive illusions, like entire fleets of spaceships attacking them.
oh gosh, that
Um,
sounds a little OP.
yeah,
I
but
just wanted to hide.
yeah,
Like
so
you didn't see me, or something like that, or like the Shadow from the old radio shows. He would just, you don't see the Shadow because you all you see is, oh, it's just dark over there.
yeah,
except
and
except that doesn't work on droids or things like that. So like
Or
mental
sensors,
doesn't
yeah.
work on that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
this
Sure.
character should be careful with this power. If it were used, okay, so this is not so a lot of these powers in this Sith book, which you can get at the D6 holocron, I think. This one does not say like you automatically get a dark side point for using it. It's just how you use it. Force illusion to do something good, I guess, or something benign. Okay,
Mm.
and that like more like petty thief stuff. I don't think I even give dark side points. Like if you're like force illusion to steal the key to get the gold from the safe of the morally gray banker. So
Well, I could see that, like for example, if it's a you know, you got to do this to do this to do this to do this, but the whole time you're trying to do this really evil thing, but the beginning step, I could
yeah,
still see that being connected,
yeah.
karmic wise, so that it could still be considered a pretty bad thing.
One of the ideas I had about the game was that we were talking about like maybe like starting not totally like evil was the idea. One of the reasons I said it at this time is that this is like the time when a lot of Jedi fall to the dark side. It's because it's supposed to be a really horrific war, and there's a lot
I
going on.
understand.
And there's a lot in the past as well that kind of pushing people to do some really horrible things, even though they think they're being good. Like for the if you have there's the game where it's the first game, the Knights of the Old Republic. It's about Darth Revan. Darth Revan is basically he's the and it's in the little the handout. They talk about it a little bit, and I even that's one of the cool things about the I'm sorry, I shouldn't say it's Darth Revan. It needs to be spoiler there. Spoilers, sorry, Revan.
Well, that game
He's
only came out 20 something years ago.
All right.
so Revan. I didn't even ask the AI to say talk about Revan. I just talked about the AR, the Jedi are not helping, and it pulled it from the lore, I guess. So that was pretty cool. So the Jedi are not helping with they because they're just two factions. They're not Sith, they're not something else. It's just two factions of sentient beings fighting each other, and they don't want to get involved in this one. Part of it is because the legacy of the previous events of the Tales of the Jedi story, where they call that the Sith Wars, where a lot of Jedi fell in that situation where they're kind of fighting some evil, and they're like, okay, we have to change our order completely. So in that time frame, they were, Jedi got married, Jedi had kids, Jedi were involved in society, and then they got involved in the Sith Wars. So many fell, so many died. It was atrocities on all different sides. Like they're fighting, like, basically they start out fighting the spirit of a Sith called Freedon Nad.
I was going to mention his name.
Yeah, and they end up producing two Dark Lords from their own ranks, Ulic Qel-Droma and Exar Kun, two Jedi. One he was trying to fight the Sith. He kind of gets in there. He gets pulled in. He's trying to do like Donnie Brasco, infiltrate their ranks, and ends up becoming one of them. And partly because of Sith magic, which I didn't quite like that. They kind of
Very seductive.
Yeah, and he was seduced by the woman that does that Force illusion. And then there's Exar Kun, who's more interested in gaining knowledge and power. He has a certain little complex, and he ends up killing his master in a duel, and then he goes off. And
You happy?
so that's sort of that's those events happen like about 40 years in the past. So and during those events, the Mandalorians sided with the Sith factions, and so now yeah. So now it's like almost a generation and a half have passed. Those people are they're the people that were involved in those events are like old people now, if they survived.
Well, the scars haven't healed, basically.
Yeah.
And with the Jedi pulling themselves back, it's just there's a giant power vacuum, and that's why we're seeing what we're seeing.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm kind of liking about this time is that we could say, like, okay, we don't have to be rigid about what Jedi was. Like, your character could have been a Jedi, and he could be also, and it's not like he was raised. It doesn't necessarily have to have been since he was like 3 years old a Jedi. Though that exists at this point. It's just not. It hasn't been fully.
Hold on, guys. I gotta go see what that is.
So, George, I suggest that, just to get everyone used to it, is to do a quick combat.
Mm-hmm.
And just so everyone understands how the combat works and things like that.
I'm not prepared for that right now, but I guess I can pull one up.
Just an example. It's like, hey, we're going to do,
Oh, there's a couple in the books here. Let's see here. Let me go up to the re-up. We can talk about, let's talk about like blaster combat or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I'm trying to say is like, oh, well, what can you do here? All right, well, this is just so people understand how the system works. And
it's been a long time for me.
Yeah. And also, I do want to go over like the backgrounds, like kind of the ideas, and we can get maybe your characters, like some of those other skills that we're thinking about adding to kind of add them from the background ideas. Like you're saying, your droid was like in hostile environments, like vacuum of space. Maybe he might have something that would be related to that, or perhaps he was if he was more of a. Or maybe like, oh, okay, now he's bought by Rick and he's upgraded to programming to, like, I don't know, serve drinks or.
I was really just going to be like, whatever. Why would you have a droid? It's like, oh, okay. So what do you need? Really, I don't care if the other characters go over and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. I expected him to have a lot of knowledge, so I put like 1D in there. I put strength as 8, just because he's going to be really strong to like move crap around. Yeah.
So he's lifting. So maybe he's well, let's see. So it's a casino. It's also a hotel. It's there's a cage fighting run by the I forget what I called the company. I changed the name. I called it Blue Sky, but it sounded too much like something else, like Sky Television or something. Tyon Allied Tyon Corporation or something like that, which you were we're kind of on the fringes of the Tyon sector, which has kind of a pirate background for a few thousand years before. And if you ever look at the maps, I put it. It's a made up planet, but we're kind of close to the Perulimian way, and the Mandalorians kind of in one direction, Tyon clusters in the other direction. You kind of and also if you look at the map on the thing, so let's say west, well, to the left of the map, or we'll call that west, but it's not west, would be the Mandalorians. To the north would be the old Sith Empire. To the east would be the Tyon cluster, which was like I said, what I know about them is they had like piracy in the background. There's also to the south would be more towards the core, and Ossus is not too far away either, which used to be the Jedi's home world, the Jedi's library world, I think, which was destroyed during the events of the Sith Wars, which happened about a few decades earlier.
A few decades, a few thousand years, because that's one thing Star Wars has is like
the events of the Tales of the Jedi. So a few decades, the previous generation's war, like it, think of that as like kind of their Vietnam War.
I just remember like some of like 4,000 years ago, this was the war that went on. Like,
yeah,
oh, okay.
The Sith War, not that Sith War, the other one. No, the other one, the other Sith War. Yeah, I'm listening to audiobook for Darth Bane, which I think it might be the reader's voice is just kind of too monotone. It might be like an AI or something. Well, it's too monotone for even an AI. So I think he reformed the Sith because they were so boring. The whole Busan. That's like the Sith War. That's like in like 1,000 years before Battle of Yavin, and of course the Battle of Yavin. It's kind of another Sith War, but just two Sith, I guess, fighting it. And then there's the Sith War that's happening after the events of what we're doing now. And then there's a Sith War that happened before the events that we're doing now. And then there's another Sith War that happened about another 1,000 years before that. And then there's one about 7,000 years before that, and 125,000 years before that.
It's just like, okay, and part of me just goes, I really don't care. It's just like whenever I heard people talk about, it's, you can't alter things. I said, the universe is large enough that even if I put the characters during the rebellion, when you have Luke Skywalker and everything, it's not like he was all over the universe. It's like, yeah, you hear this in the background. You hear this over here. It's not like you can't do things like that. It's like, oh, okay, it's a big universe. Why everyone seems to ignore that? I don't understand.
You could literally play a campaign on an Outer Rim planet that never heard of the events of the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's that, or even if it did, you just go, oh, okay, it's
there's a lot of freedom to it.
Yeah, that's what I think that sometimes people forget about is they want to be in part of the, like, unless you're playing part of the rebellion, like even just like whenever we look at the news. Even if you look at like World War II, there were a lot of countries that were not involved in World War II.
Yeah, you could totally make a campaign like during, like almost like a Rebel One. Like it's like, okay, the heroes are doing this, you guys are like that.
Side operatives, Mando.
Exactly. Oh, in Return of the Jedi, it said many Bothan spies died getting this information. Like, okay, you guys are a bunch of Bothan spies.
Exactly.
We're gonna buck the odds and survive.
But yeah, it's just like, oh, okay. And I think that's one thing that is one of the things I did enjoy about whenever you do space is like, even whenever you play like travel and stuff, there's so many areas. It's like, well, you're so far away from the action, they're not bringing you into it. And what's great is during the war, guess what? They don't tend to police those outer areas nearly as much. Just like during the Civil War. There weren't a lot of Indian fighters during the Civil War. So
combat and injuries.
Now when they're done, that's a whole different thing. But at that point, it's like, oh, okay, you guys already knew how the main event went.
All right. So let's see here. So we could do one thing I want to do is get some background ideas. So I guess you got yours is kind of based on, and it's going to be kind of a mystery to the other characters. But let's Shadow. So he plays
Uh-huh.
it kind of close to. So we're kind of setting up that he's kind of not very open about what he's done in the past with the others. So the others don't know what's going on with him. How would we? How do you want to set yourself up with Rick? Do you want to have him as a freelancer? Do you want to have him like a bodyguard or?
I thought Rick was more like the patron.
Yeah. Okay. So he's a patron. Okay. That's works then. And then he'll like he sends you out to get stuff for him.
Yeah.
He sends you out and he pays you, and gets you free
Since
drinks.
I kind of I don't know where we are in comparison, but I'm kind of assuming that kind of like off grid. Uh, I'm not originally from here. I'm here
Mhm.
to disappear.
Okay. Do you have an idea of why there's a bounty on your head or anything like that?
Probably because a job went wrong.
Okay. All right. So there's a
No.
bounty. We'll assume there's a bounty. I'm assuming there's a bounty in everybody's head. It doesn't necessarily have to be a legit bounty. It could just be a mistaken identity if you want to have that. So OG, how do how do you interact with Rick, and how do you guys know each other?
I basically, when I ditched the rest of my Mandalorians, I was aware of this. It's basically a casino, right? In a casino world kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And Mandalorians who come down for R&R, but they're not allowed to wear their uniforms at Rick. They have to
Yeah.
wear formal clothes. You probably, if you have some armor, you hide it underneath something.
So I came here to escape, basically, the Mandalorians chasing me, also to sell the ship.
Mhm.
I had no idea that basically this place was going to become alignment with the Mandalorian. So I'm kind of in hot water here. I've hid my armor.
Oh,
I'm
hold on.
going by an alias. And
I gotta pause. I'm sorry.
But yeah, basically just sold the ship to this guy here in trade for identity papers, a false identity, and to work, basically do underground work for him. But yeah, I'll repeat it in a sec. I think that works because then I'll be there. I'll be available. I'm basically a shooter and a pilot for all purposes. So I'll bring that with me.
Good, because I have none of that. I mean, I can shoot, but I'm more probably a melee guy.
Sorry about that.
Because shooting blasters off, doing my kind of thing is probably not a good idea.
Yeah. So George, to continue where I left off, I was aware of this fella here and that he was a guy that you could kind of get false identities from.
Okay.
Get a whole new persona. So when I came here, I basically changed out the transponders for the ship so nobody could easily track the ship to this place.
Mhm.
I had enough knowledge to do that. Sold it to Rick,
Okay.
which he's happy to have because now with this whole alliance and stuff, it may be handy for smuggling or whatever, like a ship that still has those Mandalorian codes. He may hide those. But so yeah, basically I have a new identity. I'm playing low key. I won't wear any of my Mandalorian stuff.
Okay.
And yeah, kind of a pilot rogue shooter kind of a guy.
Okay. Can I
And I haven't got a name for him yet.
Okay. So so you're familiar with how this ship operates. If you want, I could make the ship I think your piloting skills.
Mhm.
If you want to double them and have it specifically to that ship,
Okay.
and then we could end up that maybe you sold it to Rick, or you still own it, and that's the ship that you guys are going to be using. If you guys want, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm wondering how we'll work that because I wouldn't have came here rich, but I do need the ID and everything he could have did for me. Well, I guess that could have been part of the deal, really. Fix up, change the ship, make it changed enough so it wouldn't be recognizable.
Yeah, and
It's
then,
part of the deal kind
okay,
of thing.
maybe he has some
Paying the money
missions
the
for
new
you or
ID.
something.
Yeah.
Like a okay, all right, cool.
I'll come up with a
Can
name
you-
for the ship then. I imagine we'll do
okay,
something on that one.
yeah. Can you put down are you guys against the idea of having a fire spray? A
That's
it's a
basically Boba Fett, like a slave one. That's what you're
yeah.
saying.
It's not from this time, but I figure whatever equivalent of it. I
That's
kind of think
cool.
it's cool. I think it's small, so we're not like kind of. It's not really going to be like your house in space. You're guys go out to land once in a while.
Mhm.
It's more geared towards transporting people and maybe a few bounties.
Yeah. Action-oriented vessel.
Yeah. Oh, what? My
That
phone.
sounds good. And then also you should be able, like with that, choosing that one, it should help as well with getting some AI images for it and stuff, and then the art you're doing.
Yeah,
Picking that one if it's a known craft.
Yeah, I tried to making some. My idea was like to make like the slave one, but like just have instead of those little wings that are repulsor lifts, they'll
Mhm.
just look like thrusters. I was
Okay.
I did do some drawings of it. Let's see here.
Is you said what was it? Fire what?
Fire
The
spray.
fire spray. It's basically slave one. It's the similar to
Like
the
that's the model or
Yeah,
make of it? Okay, I didn't
yeah.
know that. That's
yeah.
good.
It was lore wise, we're way back in time
But
compared
the
to that time.
companies were still around, some of them.
Yeah, so it's probably, or and I could just say,
Fine
oh,
art
the
like
fire
systems.
spray was inspired by some old design that, the guy who designed it was like he went into their old archives and like was like, yeah, maybe I should do this thing, that's that rotating thing, and
Cool.
well,
Yeah, it's unique in the way it takes. Well, it's not unique actually. The B wing is kind of like that.
Mm.
If I remember correctly. It does a weird thing with its wings and its cockpit as well.
my phone died, so I'll have to just use an image right now. Yeah, so one of the cool things that I liked about it is it has a very large profile in the frontally, which is kind of dangerous for it, but it's also very aggressive because like you have all these weapons. And my idea is most of the weapons are not in yet. It's like very upgradable, and that's one of the things about about Boba Fett ship. So, and then now if we do it specifically as fire spray, so you can have double, instead of having pilot transport, it's pilot fighter spray, and then instead of one, it's two. Or I don't remember what I put down for that.
Yeah, we could have had it so the Mandalorians were more using the craft for like to blend in civilian areas, not be
Yeah.
as modded out, so they could
And
like
I did see
doing basically intimidation, abductions and stuff like that to grow
Yeah.
their empire, doing stuff like that,
And I
works and stuff.
I saw in the comic book they had something that looked like that, though I didn't see anything in any of the like the ship designs. I want to try to look up some ship designs. They had let's see here, shadow. Yeah, here we go. So this was from a comic book. It would be from this era. It's from the Knights of the Old Republic comic. Copy image.
So for space transports, I'd bump that up to 2D then.
Yeah,
Instead of one, that one.
yeah, and but you have to write specifically the fire spray.
Okay. Space transports.
So, and that's one of the things I did for your character for the blaster. Instead of I doubled the blaster skill. Figure that you just learned on the one kind, or if you want to swap that out and just have a general blaster skill, that's fine too. I just figured one, it gives you guys a little bit of a boost just using a specific weapon. Like let's say you run out of ammo or something, or you lose it, you pick up the other guy's weapon and it's not the same type, then you're kind of at a disadvantage.
Yep.
Let's see here, copy. Let me pull up. So let me put it in the. I guess I'll put it in the AI channel in my Discord. So I saw this in one of the comic books. It's it looks like Slave One, a lot like Slave One. So at least they're probably drawing from it back then to make
Well,
something.
yeah, but I mean, but a Slave One is a particular ship, whereas this is the whole style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Fire
yeah.
spray class, I think,
And
is literally what it
yeah.
is. But
yeah, and I'm just being a little anal and stupid about not anal about the lore, but I think there's a lot of lore and there's a lot of headcanon, and I want to try to be authentic to the lore. Some of the stuff might not match quite. I think some of the timeline stuff is slightly off. I'm like having the like Revan kind of starting to go out a little earlier than I think would be going in the timeline. I think he doesn't find this stuff out till after the wars. But so yes, it's something like what's in the picture there. Let's say, or whatever we kind of want to imagine, and I can draw up some plans for it.
okay.
And it's very deceptive, that design. I always think of that top bit almost looks like a cockpit, like like a fighter. So it's like, but it's scale wise, it's a lot bigger. It's more of like that little glass part on the Slave One that looks like a fighter pilot cockpit.
I always thought that it was very reminiscent, or at least kind of reminiscent of the Mandalorian helmet itself.
Mm.
You know how,
Yeah, yeah.
you know
It's
how
kind of
Boba Fett
swoops down to the
was,
middle.
mysterious, always wearing the helmet thing, and that the ship itself was kind of trying to play on that. I don't know. Did anybody ever get that?
Well, it had that glassy, dark part of his visor that runs through. Then he has like the dark cockpit that kind of is curved and runs along it. And it feels like the lines were somewhat similar, and how you're saying how the lines rode up his cheeks, then sharp down, and those same kind of lines are in the ship in a way,
Yeah.
at least with the color patterns that they painted on, is like worn off as they kind of were.
Now, one thing I've been looking into the lore and stuff was, which I just like I think I found out today that the helmet is supposed to be reminiscent of the original Mandalorian species, the Tong. So, which I
Okay.
kind of I think I threw like confused you a little earlier. Like, do you want to be a Tong or not? And so one of the things in the lore is the Mandalorians were originally a specific species, originally from Coruscant. They were fighting with the humans on Coruscant, and eventually they just left and found the planet
The
Mandalore.
Reel or the Creel or something. I can't remember what they called them, but the humans
Yeah.
had it too. I can't remember. I was
Yeah.
trying to do some reading up on it in between.
And so they're kind of reptilian. They kind of, to me, they remind me a little bit of like the Predator, but with like more of a reptilian face. And they kind of have a pointy bit. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not on screen, so I can't. I'm making like shapes with my hand, like it's like this. So this
The
supposedly
Klingons are jealous of their forehead. Like they've got some serious forehead going on, like
Yeah.
plated, pieces on their forehead, kind of.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. And then eventually, I think it's sort of like, and it's kind of similar with the Jedi, where like they're changing their society after the events of the Sith War, where they have starting to take in other people, and the way like the term Sith means a species in 1,000 years earlier, then later Sith just becomes a culture, a teaching, a knowledge that's passed on, and it's similar for the Mandalorians, where they're becoming a teaching and a knowledge and a way of life that's been passed on. And eventually, the Sith, soon after these events, the Tong are supposed to die out. So, and that could be also kind of something in the background if you guys want, or we can even ignore it or have some other headcanon, or because like right now
I like what we talked about earlier, how basically that's where kind of my character's xenophobia comes from, is like how some of their practices of going out and almost like grabbing up kind of like primitive humans or whatever, how they think of it, and then force them to be foot soldiers kind of thing, or bringing them in. And some of the methods maybe they used, like, kind of don't endear positive attitudes in the humans that experienced it as kids or whatnot, like
Okay.
abducted. So that's how he sees it.
Okay. So so your characters experienced that then, or just
he was taken forcibly, like on a
Okay.
planet where they're basically recruiting,
Okay.
headhunting, I guess you could say.
So it's not like the foundlings from like the current Mandalorian movies, TV. So it's
No.
okay. Cool. All right, that works. That works good. And that makes that kind of brings in the xenophobia and stuff. More, and
That's where he kind of fits with
Don't
the
tell me
Sith
any more,
side
Mike.
of Shadow, right? Because they're very almost like human universe,
yeah.
kind
This
of
one.
very human
Any more,
centric.
Mike?
So it totally fits with his
Mhm.
that perspective too, of him being the Sith.
Okay. So any animosity with Rick? Any kind of like just how is that working?
Yeah, that's. I guess my guy's be a little pragmatic about it. My character,
You going?
pragmatic. If there's a benefit, to working with it, kind of thing, then he will.
Yes, I'm taking her sleeping bag and all.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Um,
I was saying he's a little more pragmatic, I would say.
okay. He's finding his chance to get out, and his chance to get out, and
Yeah.
maybe meeting with Shadow and some of the other people around him makes you more comfortable.
He doesn't want to be in a systemic situation where he sees it as Xenos are like running the show, and it's like system wide kind of thing, and it's like us and them. He doesn't like that situation.
Yeah,
But when it's just some free guy he can deal with, kind of thing, like Rick, then it's fine.
Okay, so yeah, it's a way out then. Let's see then.
Yeah.
Okay. First chance you get, you're out of there, which is fine. All right, cool. And Omen.
Yes.
So your guy, he was purchased by Rick at a discount. And,
Well, by one of these two guys.
Oh, by one of these guys. Okay.
I assume
So
so.
it'd be Shadow then, probably,
We found
because
a good
I'm
deal.
kind of a free floater, and he's
Won him in a poker game or something like the Millennium Falcon.
Did it,
I can do that.
All right, I guess the Shadow has the most like a lot of repair skill. Maybe that might kind of be is more technical skill minded. Maybe so do you guys mind if it's a Shadow's droid or at least
no, that's fine.
partially Shadow's droid because there's maybe a malfunctioning restraining bolt on him. So
Whoever said it's malfunctioning, it should be working just fine. It's like, wait a minute, why aren't you getting into combat? I'm not programmed for it.
The way I'm envisioning it, the game already, it's kind of like Shadow's character will kind of be like the central part of it, like that it's going to kind of wheel on as far as the party goes. That's just how I see it, because there is a power thing there, and he's going to be it's so. Generally, they're not serving too many people. It's usually the other way around, or they got their loyal allies, kind of thing. How I see it.
Which is funny because my character is supposed to be kind of the loner, do the job and get lost, go find another job, or maybe I just see something sparkly and I want it, and I go grab it, and now I'm kind of looking for something else, and I end up here because.
Does anyone have a ship? That's the most important thing.
I do.
Okay, so you have the ship.
Yeah.
So you can throw in, so you can upgrade the ship by putting experience points into it.
Well, yeah, and we can. And I'd probably, I'd probably just give enough credits or something like that instead of using the XP on it, and it would be like a kind of a common asset.
But
the one thing I think. Oh, so one of the things with the Sith is they have a passion. So what's Shadow's passion? Why does he do what he does? Not Shadow, like your character's passion. Your passion is old RPGs and old comics and pulp
things
fiction.
that are old. Honestly, I kind of want to read something, but I remember something from way back, that being Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the Splinter was like a crystal, right?
I haven't read it.
That.
Oh, you've never read it? That was like the first Star Wars, not Star Wars thing, other than the comic books.
And then the Han Solo books, yeah.
Han Solo at Star's End, and I forget, was it Han Solo's Revenge?
I can't remember. It's going back.
I know. That's how far back I go with this. let me try to. I know I have it, and if I don't, oh my god, I'll be pissed because I could have swore I had the first three Star Wars books: Splinter of the Mind's Eye, Han Solo at Star's End, and I think Han Solo's Revenge. And then after that, I just uh, dropped out of the paperbacks. But uh, I'm looking for something. Let's just put it that way. Get a Cad Bane character. Maybe he was a fun character, but let me uh, see if I can find that during this week, and I'll get back to you on that. Um, and since we were talking originally, we were of the mind we were all going to be Jedi, but if that's not going to be the case, then part of it, I guess, is I got to build my own lightsaber, even if I'm not going to be let in officially. I'm going to try to figure out how to make one, and that means I got to find a couple of crystals and
Yeah.
do things. So
Find a holocron how to make it, or a teacher how to teach it to you.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
And
why
then-
you're
well, yeah, fine steel. I'm fluid. I could.
okay. And so, you want a lightsaber because you want to be more powerful, or is it sort of a curiosity? Is it?
Honestly, I'm going to be a little more base than that. I remember this scene in was it Phantom Menace, where they used a lightsaber to just cut through the biggest freaking door you can imagine.
Yeah, and
You
the
know,
Okay.
I'm
that
a
was the
door
first-
opener.
I remember in that okay that makes me think of almost like a Vila from Blake 7. He's the lockpick guy. And the reason he picks locks is he doesn't want a barrier. He wants it open. There's a certain desire to have that
There is no
barrier.
better door opener, and that's probably why I use my other ability to open doors. But when that fails, you want to be quiet about it. You don't want to blow the whole building up. It
Mhm.
stands to reason that good old fashioned lightsaber will open just about any door.
Okay.
So will explosives.
But I don't want to make noise. I don't want to draw attention.
You're
I-
literally using a lightsaber. You're going to direct as much attention as possible to yourself.
Well, if done right, in the dead of night, etc., a lightsaber isn't going to wake everybody up. You know what I mean? If you're trying to get into a vault,
Yeah, that's
if
sure.
you're trying to get into a vault in a bank, and you're already inside,
Hmm.
it's way better than explosives or that noise that a laser or a blaster makes.
Be the same as using a cutter, plasma cutter or whatever.
Yeah. But lightsaber's way cooler.
Yeah.
You try,
That's all.
a
It's
laser
about
cutter,
status. It has nothing to do with any of the other crap. He's just making an excuse why he wants a lightsaber.
So
He wants it because he wants it. That's why. It's
Well,
about
there is a little bit of that, but I my job is getting in places, and because I was thinking, Omen, like a lot of what he does is, since it's like second story work, and glass cutters are they're not like they make them look in Hollywood. If you've ever used a glass cutter, it's it's not very quick, and it's
Don't tell me that Hollywood lies to me. That's how things
I'm
work.
afraid so, Omen. I'm afraid so.
It's a lot faster with a drill. Have you seen them? Where you stick the glass cutter on a drill head and you just put it on there. It has a suction cup and then it just
Yeah, because I literally went out and got the identical glass cutter that I saw in a particular movie, and then I tried to do that, and I'm like, what the shit?
sitting there
Just
going,
give me a freaking hammer.
Okay.
Well, you know what my view is how come in the world do you just start using a blowtorch around it and just go, and melt the
Just
glass
melt
and pull it off? It's
Yeah.
just saying, it's.
Mhm.
But, yeah.
So what's your Mandalorian's passion?
I never even gave that any thought.
Oh, it's all right. Like, is he like, well, what's his motivation? Like, is he motivated by just being free?
I'd say freedom. Yeah, you hit on that at the same time. I was thinking that because that he felt penned down and he wasn't in control of his life. He was just kind of being used, kind of like foot soldier, basically.
Okay.
Not much control or direction of his life.
All right, so that works perfect
Freedom.
with the whole Sith manifesto. What is it?
Like do what thou wilt. kind of thing.
the more it's a so what is it? It ends with my chains are broken.
Mhm.
So, but it's more than just metaphorical chains or literal chains in some cases. So what is it?
Yep.
Passion, I gain power. Through power, I gain freedom, or something like that. So,
Mhm.
here leads to the dark
Freedom.
side.
You know, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that, George, because when I played Knights of the Old Republic the first time,
Mhm.
I then sold my Xbox and I sold the game,
Mhm.
but I kept the strategy guide just for the because that's the only place I knew back then where the Sith Creed was.
Mm.
So I kept the strategy guide. Then years later, uh, I picked up the games again, thinking I would get an Xbox. And then my friend here in California recently passed away. He sent me his Xbox, a stack of games. I played Nights 1 and 2 again, and then he passed away. And now I'm like, I gotta go play it again. I was just in there like
They're
before the
awesome.
show, just before the show, saying to Jackie, "Hey, you ready to play Knights of the Old Republic?" Because I can just vicariously watch while he's playing,
Yeah.
and as much fun out of it because it's such a good game. I
Yeah.
realize the graphics have been improved a lot since then, but the gameplay today it's still my favorite video game of all time.
Yeah, it's got so much story. It's got. I think that's how I got into like a lot of the old lore stuff was through the game. I got that
Wow.
game, and then I'm like, oh, well. Then I started looking up books about it, and I found like a
And I know there's a lot of other new games that have come out since then, and I've got Unleashed, I think, and a couple others. But other than Battlefront, none of the other games just like sucked you in immediately. I think Unleashed. I was playing it for an hour. I think fighting Vader or something. I'm just like, I hate this. This is just like impossible. It was so freaking difficult. The very first scene,
Mhm.
whatever you were supposed to do, just like oh,
yeah.
I
Yeah,
couldn't do it.
I got pulled in. I think the first one I played was the the Jedi School one with like Luke has like a Jedi school,
Jedi Academy.
Jedi
Yeah, I
Academy,
played
yeah.
that one too.
And then the next one I played was I think the Old Republic ones. I played the second one first, and then I bought the
Oh
first
wow.
one. I think maybe that's why I like the second one a little more. A lot of people don't.
Well, you don't forget the second one. When the second one came out, the strategy guide was like, I want to say twice as thick,
Mhm.
and it came with a freaking disc that you had to put in to like get the other information or something. I forget exactly what. Now the disc is useless, essentially.
Yeah,
But it's like this is heavy. It's got a freaking giant strategy guide, and there's a special disc just for this freaking game that's not the game. You
Yeah.
know,
I miss those days of the physical copies of PC game boxes and all that. Yeah.
I do and I don't. I mean, I love the idea about it's like when I bought the StarCraft 2 with the limited edition, and it had the book, it had all this other stuff in there. I was like, well, this is really cool. And then I started noticing that the collector's editions got worse and worse. They started including less and less in them.
Yeah.
They didn't include before they used to include, hey, we have a CD with the music, and now we have I think my collector's edition of StarCraft 2, it had the booklet showing the artwork and talking about it, and then it had a USB key that looked like dog tags, and
They
it
used
had
to
all
do it
this.
right back in the day.
Yeah, they used to. It was like really cool. Like, yeah, I
Remember
want that one.
Ultima? When that Ultima came
Yeah.
out, they like gave you I think it was like a little cloth map or something like that.
Yes, all the Ultimas
I
I ever
remember.
bought had cloth maps in them,
Yeah.
and a lot of them are. And now,
Oh God, that takes me back to the what was it, Commodore 64
yep,
era?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, mine was the Atari, but you're right. Every time you bought it, it had the map on there, and then it came with a monster book, and then it came with another book, and it never gave you like the full rules, but gave you an idea of what these things were, and it, it gave its own little monster manual, and I'm like, and then I look at stuff like we've got the collector's edition digital. I'm like, why am I paying $20 extra just so I can get this other? It's nothing. It's just
not real.
It's funny too because every once in a while I see an article or something on YouTube or the internet about someone's gonna re-release Knights of the Old Republic. It's like it was that same freaking clickbaity crap I saw for like the first 10 years after Firefly. Oh, they're gonna redo it. Disney, blah blah blah. No, leave it alone.
Yeah.
Because they're just gonna screw it up.
I
well,
think,
I'm not even going to say things.
I think there was a remaster where they did unlock some of the things that they didn't they planned on doing, and
Really?
files and unlocked a few storylines, like breaking into the droid factory that made HK-47.
I don't mind
What?
remasters as much. Reboots are horrible.
I mean, I'm not. I'll be honest. I'm not against stuff that's a reboot like 20 or 30 years later, because by that time, whoever grew up with it kind of has moved on. Like I don't mind like the original Battlestar Galactica. When I go back and watch that and watch the newer one, I'm like, give me the newer one, because you look at just how cheesy the 70s was for their sci-fi, and you're just like, oh my
Especially,
god.
the Back to Earth. Oh my god, that was awful.
No. I'm just saying the very no. The 1980 just it does not exist. There was one season of Battlestar Galactica. Anyway,
Okay, it's funny too because you guys were talking about the Mandalorians, and that's it was reminding me of the origin of the Cylons. You know how the Cylons were originally a reptilian race, and then they made the Centurions, and then the Centurions, took over, kind of.
I mean, I don't mind reboots in certain ways as long as they're well done. The problem that we've had in the last 15 years is no one knows how to actually write a damn story, ignoring whether it's a reboot or not. You look at it like what's going in, and then the video games actually. I mean, and we'll see how it goes. I was slightly different. I was playing The Witcher, and I was playing 1, 2, and 3. And when I finished with The Witcher 3, and actually technically I haven't finished one of the little side plots, but or one of the DLCs. Man, I just felt like, sad that the game was over. I mean, I was happy with the ending; it fit appropriately, but I was like, really? It just felt kind of sad. Putting 150 hours into it, I like explored everywhere, fought every monster, and like finished off almost all the side quests, and it's like, man, that's such a good game. And then I look over at stuff, and you're just like, who came up with these ideas when you start watching things on television? Like, this is so sad. It's like, none of them want, which I've heard a lot of people complain about, like season 1 and season 2 of which they enjoyed. And then by season 3, and you start finding out the writers like, well, we don't want to follow whatever they wrote. And I actually, if any of you know Judge Dredd, Jason Alex, what is his name? It's Jason something. Is it Kingsley or something? He has the medieval stuff. If he owns like a horse, and he talks about it's like medieval history or something he does on YouTube. But he also owns Judge Dredd and Renegade Studios, if I remember correctly, which does a lot of the board games. But he's kind of cool, and he was discussing with Lindsay Page or whatever about like whenever you start doing things, is you have to be real particular on the writing on there, because a lot of times they'll say, and we consulted with the owner of blah blah blah, and what they do is they said they called you for 10 minutes and then they hang up and ignore whatever you told them you want. So you have to like put in the contract of what the limitations and what that character is allowed to have. I mean, you have to be real specific in there, otherwise they'll just go off in their own direction. And it's like, instead of trying, it's the difference between The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings movies. The Hobbit barely followed the movie. I mean, you're like, what was this elf romance with a dwarf? Who the hell thought this one?
Modern Times thought that.
Yeah, it's self-insertion and that sort of thing.
I'm not even going to say it's self-insertion. It just made no sense. Well, because it's just like, look.
From a certain point of view, it did, I'm sure.
Well, it's kind of, like a sort of shipping mentality, So many of us gamers, in our elder years, start looking more and more dwarfish as days go by. But we most certainly do not want a dwarfish woman. We want the elf chick. You know,
Well, there was no elf chick in the entire book. Is the whole point.
right, right.
Depends
But
how
they
good
figured
that
now's our
dwarf
chance.
is.
No. Well, here's the real problem by my understanding, and I've heard this. Whenever you start like listening to even producers and things, it's whoever's coming in, and the studio's going, well, you have to put in a romance into The Hobbit. Like there was no romance in The Hobbit. Well, go make one. You're like, this makes no
There
sense.
wasn't for a reason. It was a kid's book.
Well,
There
It
was
was literally a children's book, and
no, it was no romance because it made no sense for the damn book.
there was a romance between Bilbo and his plate of eggs and cheese and
bacon. Don't forget the bacon.
the bacon.
Well, I
Bacon,
mean, if you guys
that
have
was the
ever
real.
watched,
That was the real romance right there.
have you guys ever watched the old 1960s films when they're in there, and they always threw in a romance for whatever war movie was in there? Like, you go like for like, I'm not talking about the more recent Pearl Harbor, but I mean when you go like, was it Tora and stuff? They always made sure they put in the romance because like we want women to be included in this too. And I understand that to a certain reason, but the people who watch The Hobbit love The Hobbit. Stop trying to redo it. And yes, it should have been 2 films. You're like, why did you? It was just, and by my understanding, by the time that they brought in Peter Jackson, it was because it went so off the rails. It was too late. And again, I don't mind you making some changes to it to say, okay, it flows better because not everything can translate perfectly. But you want people that love the source material, just like Judge Dredd. The Sylvester Stallone movie versus the Carl Urban movie. The Carl Urban movie. I mean, that's Judge Dredd at its heart.
Hey, I loved Rob Schneider in the first one.
He's fine.
With the Hobbit, I liked when they added the stuff that was in the appendix, like they kind of like that lore of
the Dol Guldur,
the Dol Guldur, the backstory of Thorin, where how he got his name and the whole battle. That stuff worked for me fine. And then when they started adding some other weird stuff just to fill in a third movie.
Why did you need a romance with a dwarf and an elf? If you're going to do a romance, then why don't you have a romance with Bard and someone else?
That would have made a million times more sense.
Yeah, that's my point. Is you need to make it so it makes sense in that. And one is the movies just got too long in there, and they started putting stuff in. And I said, part of it was, and this was, and not that a lot of people play it this way. If you notice, is that when the orcs capture the dwarves, they don't go off to kill them. It's only when they find the weapons that they have and said, "Oh, you're carrying weapons to slay, orcs." Then or goblins. It's like then we, goblin slayers. Then we're gonna. That's when they go berserk. It's like, oh, okay, and that was
really tremendous one.
Yeah,
the Goblin Cleaver.
Well, I admit, if I wish they'd extended a bit more, but I still do enjoy the Rankin Bass version of The Hobbit. There is this charm to that. You just wish that they had done like a 3-hour movie of that.
That's my orcs. In my my imagination, orcs are all that. They're not. They're not Warcraft. They're not World of Warcraft. They're not. They're that guy. That sort of big, jowly kind of
the frog-looking thing.
Yep. I thought that was well done. It's but that's what I there are some things even in the Lord of the Rings movie, which I enjoyed where with the Palantir. I really wish that they left the part of why did Denethor abandon everything. It's because he saw the black sails come in, which meant that they had destroyed everything before and Gondor. And I really wish they had left that in so you could and so when the black sails come in, you go, oh yeah, they are screwed. And then when you see Aragorn jump over, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that was a huge mistake, but I could see why they didn't, because then they'd have to make all the practical or special effects through practical effort, or if they'd done it with all CGI, we would have just thrown our
well no I mean but the point where Denethor was talking about where he's like, why aren't you calling on, the writers of Rohan? Why aren't you calling on all of the other groups out there? And you realize that it's because he was looking at the Palantir, and the Palantir was showing him the future where he got to see the black sails.
Well,
That's why he gave up.
Palantir is like the huge black pill. It just literally takes all hope away. It shows you the most negative thing and none of the hope or chance to hope.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be manipulative.
Just like in the real world, huh, OG?
Really.
But the whole point of is then you understand why Denethor
The Palantir.
gave up. Yeah.
IRL.
Well, but that's the whole point of because you look at why did Denethor give up? Why wasn't Denethor fighting harder? And you realize, it's because he saw in the Palantir that Minas Tirith had fallen, and not that Minas Tirith had fallen. It's because he thought that Gondor had fallen because the black sails had come out, not realizing that Aragorn had defeated the fleets and was sailing out. And I'm like, you really missed a good point of doing that.
Yeah, and there was in the books, and I don't expect them to do it. A lot of stuff was held in reserve. Couldn't come. The heartland of Gondor was on the south side of all those mountains. Minas Tirith is on the edge of the Emperor. Yeah,
and then they had to fight the Corsairs, which is what the black sails were all the Corsairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and so they couldn't mobilize because they had to defend their own homelands, and when Aragorn basically defeated the Black Corsairs, that allowed all of Gondor to muster up.
And I mean, the ghosts didn't hurt either.
Which one?
And I wouldn't have let the ghosts off easy. I would have been like, you guys are free your curse once we get to, once we deal with Mordor. So it's just a little bit.
One more battle.
Well, I don't think he could have. Well, I think that was part of the discussion: is should you release them and take them all the way? And it's like, well, bad things happen to you if you extend past that. But just like what was the Rings of Power, which amazed me is they did the Rings of Power, and I went, and they were like, oh, well, we want all this inclusive. So I went, first off, why do you have to keep on rehashing the old characters? Why can't you get some new characters in there?
Mm-hmm.
And then number two was there were stories that they could have done in Gondor about where they're dealing with the Haradrim and a few others. Like you could have had your diversity, and you could have seen that Gondor wasn't all good during that time because they had betrayed some of the Haradrim for things. You had a lot that you could have worked on. Like, nope, we're just gonna write as lazily as possible because we have to hire. Like God, that's what just pisses me off. It's like you have good storylines, you just throw them off the side.
Yeah,
just like Star Wars, like everything I've heard about Andor is great. Like that's great, but you have burned so much goodwill with all of your bad Star Wars crap.
Yep.
Because they didn't treat them like sacred cows, like they should have. They should have been treasured and handled with white gloves. Because it's a lot more than just movie properties to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: is we're just talking about merchandise. The most merchandise they sell is from the original 3. And I'm not saying that, and I'm looking like my son. We're all talking about we're big Star Wars fans. We're in our 50s, and we're like, oh, okay. We all love Star Wars, but guess what? We try passing that love to our children. And I look at my son. My son would, he still loves, you just watched him recently. He loves some of that stuff. I'm like, okay. But if you're going through, it's like, man, this is crap. What?
It's iconic. And humanity put it on a pedestal. It's meant to be treated that way with respect.
And it's a cash cow. You had a cash cow.
Well, I think they're looking at like Disney, let's say, the long-term gain. That being that if they can pump out disrespectful crap and still make money, then they literally can keep handing it off to new people as long as Disney's on Earth, and keep making stuff, and it won't matter as long as it's got that theme music and that logo at the beginning. It could literally be anything.
But Shadow, how much did they buy? How much did they buy it from George Lucas for?
$4 billion.
They haven't made that money back yet.
The parks.
That's staggering.
That's my whole point. That's my whole point.
That is. I mean, you literally have to try not to make that money back to not make that money back.
They did.
I mean, if you look at all the movies and everything else, they have not made that money back yet.
I saw the 2 movies.
Yeah.
And I stopped there.
Mm-hmm.
By chance, I heard good things about Rogue One. I watched that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard good things about The Mandalorian, and I watched that, and then watched 2 seasons of that. Heard the third season sucked, stopped watching that. Um,
We're pretty
and
well in the same spot then. Yeah.
yeah,
I'll be honest, is I didn't watch Force Awakens. I saw it. My friend had it on like DVD or something, so I watched it there. I took my son to Rogue One, which was his first experience to Star Wars, and I said it's okay. It's not the greatest, but
It's not a
it
bad
was
movie.
enough. It was enough. But I was like, okay. I saw some of the Mandalorian. I'm like, I understand why people enjoy the Mandalorian, but when you look at like the sequels, and you just like just listening to the plot points, you're like, who even allowed this to occur? That's what gets me about it. Is why
I unfortunately paid good money to see all three of those movies
Same.
with Jackie because he was still pretty young when they were coming out, and he'd already seen the other six movies and Clone Wars and loved all of that crap. And for the first two movies, he was still pretty young. The first two sequels, he was still pretty young. He dressed up as Kylo Ren one year for Halloween. He still didn't quite get that this was garbage, you know. And then when the third one came out, he's like, "Yeah,
I
this is crap." I didn't say
I was
anything. He's just like, "This is
Sections
crap."
of the third one when I saw it in theater, I slept. I'm like, well, this is retarded. I'm going to sleep.
I was
Basically, I slept. Must have slept through 45 minutes of that movie.
I was
Good
in
for you.
Iraq, and we even had it to watch. Like it was on our Plex server or whatever to watch. I couldn't. I'm like, I'm not watching that.
I won't pay good.
It's
I won't pay good money to keep the collection complete. I've got the first six on
Yeah.
DVD. I'll never own the sequels because they're just absolute
They didn't
Well,
occur in
well,
my
I don't.
mind.
blasphemy.
What I don't know is how they figure out, because it's a streaming service. I got all the Star Wars, the good and the bad,
Yeah.
on Disney, and also we got all the good and the bad of Marvel, and all the good and bad of. I can watch those old Herbie went to Mexico movies from like 1962.
Yes.
I try to get my kids into them, but they don't. Those like live action Disney movies. It's like
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
the goose that laid the golden egg with the guy from My Three
Do you have
Dads.
Gus?
Gus.
Yeah.
All those classic. Remember, like when we were kids, like they would have an assembly and they would play like one of those movies. That's what you
Oh,
used
yeah.
to do.
Well, I remember.
Those were
I
the best
remember,
days. You're like,
you know,
oh,
Well, and I haven't ever seen, some of the old stuff, which by my understanding, this is what they used to do, is they would release each of the movies once every 7 years, for the cartoons. And the
Yeah.
idea is that, they would have a big thing coming in, but the kids they assumed that the kid would generally outgrow whatever the movie was after 7 years. And then they would get a new generation to come in to watch it. And so they put it in the theaters every 7 years. So you get the cycle. And then, of course, when they did DVDs and VHS and all that changed some of the stuff in there. But I still haven't seen The Dark Cauldron. I went back to go watch Dragon Slayer, which apparently was one of those made with Disney, but not under the Disney name.
Mhm.
It was made in conjunction with someone else. And I remember watching it when I was 7 or 8, and I thought it was okay. Now, as I'm older, I appreciate more of it. I'm like, oh, okay, that was worth watching. You start getting ideas for games. It doesn't have to be the best movie, but as long as I get a good idea, for what kind of
Yeah.
game I'd like to run, there's this is the problem that I think that Hollywood's forgetting. We have 100 years of movies to go look at. And if you're not going to make a good movie, there are enough movies that I can go back and
Right.
watch. And
That's why I'm such a big fan of physical media, because at some point they're going to cut that off.
Yeah.
You know what I
They-
mean?
Well,
yeah.
that's where I'm kind of conflicted. It's like I got Disney because they got all the cool older stuff, but like, are they saying, oh well, George, he subscribed, so he must love what's that like new lesbian force user movie series,
and Willow and all the others that are
Oh,
out
it's
there.
terrible, that one. Oh my god.
It's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, are they just kind of like living? I think like on Netflix, like The Office is like the biggest show that people watch. It's like
And
a show from
Friends.
20 years. Yeah, and Friends and
I just look at this. No, I agree with you on the whole thing. As I'm looking at it, I just Crunchyroll was having something for $2 a month, and I said,
You know what? There's a bunch of anime that I haven't watched, like the Lotus War. I was watching Goblin Slayer, and I was like, oh, and I know Chef's like, I just want to fight goblins, but I'm like, you know what? I actually like Goblin Slayer because he's dealing with a lot of this, and the goblins are actually involving themselves. But in the background, like they're fighting off giant demons and everything else, you start realizing the goblins are like trying to summon certain demons and things, and I'm like, oh, okay. But and then I guess Lotus War was some guy's D&D game that he made into an anime. I was like, all right, I can watch that. But at least those. But again, we're looking at stuff that from what did they say? In the top 100 movies, none of them have come out since 2010. In the top 100 movies of all time, no one has any movies from 2000. And other than Dune, I can't think of much else in the last 15 years that's I really want to go. Because I'm not a big superhero fan. I'm just not. Everyone talks about superheroes. I've never been a big one because I actually prefer.
What about John Carter?
Not a superhero.
He's
not a superhero.
I don't classify it as superhero. There's no capes and tights. So to me, it's. I can see why you'd say that, but
I didn't say he was a superhero. I said none of them. And you love John Carter more than I do. I look at it and like it's okay. I can see where it's actually better than I thought it was. To be fair,
it's considering what they had to try to accomplish, and is
they tried doing too much in one thing. That's the
well,
problem.
because they knew they weren't going to get a sequel or a series. Although now, I heard because heard through Comic-Con that there is going to be an animated series and some other stuff for John Carter coming out. But it's only been 12 and a half years since the movie, so I guess instead of it being every 7 years with Disney, it's every
but that's a reboot.
The Burroughs Foundation.
Wait a minute, that's a reboot. But here's the other part. When we talk about it, was John Carter. If you look at it, so before they bought Star Wars was.
Hey, Fred, long time no see, brother.
Yeah, but if you look at this stuff, is Disney was known for being a girls' brand. That's what it was. The point of trying to get John Carter was to get more boys into Disney. And then, if you notice, that was in the same time they were having talks about buying Star Wars. Well, they bought Star Wars, and then
and Marvel at the same time.
Yeah, and it's like, well, why are we going to support John Carter? And then they and that's why kind of like.
Well, part of it was from what I remember, is that their lease on the rights to do anything was running out, and they timed it with the anniversary, 100 years, and they knew that if they had promoted it like they promoted everything else, it would be in competition with Star Wars and Marvel because it was so new to literally 99% of the world's population. But it was such a great, exciting, yarn that it could literally draw in a lot of people that, which they don't realize that us nerds, we don't have unlimited money. But when it comes to stuff like this, we will, sell a kidney to buy the next new thing pertaining to whatever our nerddom, is hooked on.
Well, see, Disney didn't think of it that way. Disney said this is an untried IP, which is true for the most part. And they said, hey, we're getting Star Wars. And they said, well, guess what? Star Wars, to be fair, they could have done almost nothing with Star Wars and be making more money than they are now. I mean, that was the sad fact of it. Is
someone else is going to get the John Carter IP, and they are going to make Disney, feel like Fox.
Well, actually, as long as you don't call it John Carter, you can call it Princess of Mars, and you can do whatever you want because it's out of copyright. Now, John Carter, they've trademarked, oddly enough, so you have to be careful about that. But the books themselves, this is the thing that aggravates me, is that they start trademarking a lot of this stuff. I'm like, look,
John Carpenter of Mars.
Yeah. Well, but I mean,
that would be fucking awesome.
But I mean, they can do this because they're all out of copyright now. Is you can now do a Princess of Mars, which I'm surprised they haven't done. And again, I would prefer animation just because you're not limited and have to pay everyone tons of money.
Mm-hmm.
And they could do Gods of Mars, and then they could do Warlord of Mars, and you could do that as a mini series. You do
and just go for that. And again,
Yeah, but to be honest,
Yeah.
um, with as good a job as they did with all the special effects and everything they did with the movie, with what was his name?
So in other words, you're telling me that you'd rather them spend $250 million rather than spending $40 million and making 30 episodes to do all $3.
No, no. What I'm saying is, I want both,
Uh,
but I think the live action would be more fun to watch.
I don't. Yeah, but see, it's all right now. It is so comic booky anyway. I'm like, why not just keep it animated to me? I much prefer animation because then guess what? You don't have to pay tens of millions of dollars
I
to
know
get that. And then the other part is if
for
it if you
just for the
special.
actors alone, who all
I'm not even talking about the actors. If you look at I'm talking about the the 3D effects places. I'm like, why do you have to? If you look at a perfect example is, um, the Clone Wars. They did what 7 seasons of that.
I thought it
Of
was
the
fun.
No, it's
That's a
6, and then I
lot.
think they had another one.
I'm
And we're talking what? How many episodes? Like 100 episodes?
I don't know. I gotta ask Jackie. He's got the box set.
But I mean, I would much rather have that because then
Yeah.
you can put in all your storylines, you can do everything in there, and yeah, okay, fine. It's it's you can do your 40 or 50 hours rather than you saying, well, I'm going to do 3 hours. I'm going to make it all condensed. I'm going to cut out everything.
They'd have to get a really
it fixes a lot of Anakin stuff.
Yeah.
And you're
yeah.
like, and like you watch Revenge of the Sith, he's an annoying asshole, and then you're like, oh yeah, he's being annoying and an asshole because he's been like literally like carrying this war on his shoulders for like past 2 years or whatever it is,
Mhm.
saving everybody, and they're like, we're gonna make you a master, but not really. We're gonna put you on the council, but we're not gonna make you a master. Oh yeah, that girl that you used to hang out with, yeah, she's yeah. Well, I don't want to
Well,
spoil it because
I mean,
it got spoiled for me because I've been doing the research, and I only got like I only got through like season 1, so like yeah, so Ahsoka's not in Revenge of the Sith because certain things that would explain why he's really kind of not a very happy camper.
well,
Mhm.
Ahsoka. What did they do? And we're talking like Ahsoka had nothing in there until they did, I guess, one of the later season of Mandalorian when they brought Ahsoka back. Ahsoka was never a physical character until like the last like couple of years. She was all in the Clone War cartoon,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yep.
and
I
the
think
same thing with
did they have her in the? I didn't really watch it, but the Rebels. That's a Disney one, but it's
Yeah, I've never seen that.
yeah. Well, they it's the Rebels, the cartoon version.
Rebels
Oh,
was like the Ghost. It was like it takes place after Clone Wars, before Battle of Yavin. There's like a Padawan that was like a little kid that escaped the massacre, and he's
No,
like
no,
a
no. I'm saying, is it animated or is it physical?
oh, it's
No, it's
animated.
animated.
It's
It's
animated.
animated. But see,
Ezra.
but I mean, what was her name? Rosario Dawson, who's
Mhm.
playing Ahsoka. All they said a bunch of people were so happy to see her. Well, that character was only from the cartoon. She
Yeah,
wasn't from
she's
the other stuff.
pre-Disney.
Yeah, and then the other one was I liked Ventress myself. I thought she was a
Me
great,
too. I was just thinking of Asaji.
and part of me gets, and I, not that he was perfect, but General Grievous when he was in Return of the Sith or whatever the Return, the last one, I was like I was like, what? Because I didn't even know what the reference was to General Grievous, and then we watched the Clone Wars, like, oh, okay, this is the guy that's like killed a couple of dozen Jedi,
Yeah, he's a warlord, an alien warlord.
yeah,
He's right there.
and I'm like, there's a super cool character that I actually like better than Darth Vader.
Oh yeah. Can you guys see him right there in the corner?
Oh,
Oh yeah, cool.
oh, full size, yeah. But I love the idea of this.
Jackie's.
Here's a guy that is basically almost a complete robot, and here he is going through. And I felt like I saw when they were doing it in the in what was the third movie, for the prequel. I went, I didn't know or care or understand why he was so dangerous. I said, man, if they just did a lot more with General Grievous, I thought that would have been really cool. And you have to like lay this stuff out. But that's why I said, give me the cartoon episodes. Give me 10, give me 10 hours of like the Princess of Mars,
and they give me 10 hours, and you can write it up. You can
Well, what I was
it by
thinking,
your budget.
like
You
like
know?
if if they got the right like sort of like unique artistic style, like Clone Wars doesn't
Yeah.
look like Pixar. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
got its own weird style. If they
Yeah.
can find the right,
Yes.
focus group tested style that's not going to be, Hanna Barbera ish, or but something that's gritty. Like I remember when the Planet of the Apes cartoon came out. You guys remember that way back in a million years ago? I,
Vaguely. Vaguely.
I loved the Planet of the Apes. That was my thing. For years, that's all me and my buddy would play out in the playground for, like K through fifth or sixth grade. We were the humans, and everybody else on the playground were apes, and we were trying to hide from them.
My brother had the lunchbox.
Oh yeah, I remember. I had the lunchbox too.
But
Yeah.
then that cartoon came out, and I watched the first episode and a half, and I went, even as a kid at like 12 years old, I went, click, this is shit.
Well, I remember.
If they do that, then they lose us.
Well, see, but again, we're not talking about doing crappy animation, but you can do animation so much cheaper overall. And then the other part is I don't have to have it look like real life, or where the problem that I'm getting now is that
what was that movie? The Final Fantasy movie, where they tried that with computer gen. They tried their damnedest to make everybody look real. We all knew it wasn't, and that ruined it. You know what I mean?
Actually, that didn't ruin it for
Uncanny
me.
Valley?
What ruined it for me was the bad story. Is what ruined it for me. That's what pissed me off. I don't mind because I was used to. Again, I grew up on anime. I don't care. With the what is it? The any of you watch Ghost in the Shell?
Mhm.
With the the more recent one, which was the standalone complex SAC.
Mhm.
Oh, that's all.
But when I'm talking animation, I'm talking that level of animation.
Well,
which means like chibi.
Which means you have to, it's basically going to be an anime, as opposed to, anything else. You're going to have to go and get those guys, one of those companies to draw it. Which, other than the faces, I'd be totally on board. But as soon as John Carter comes out looking like one of the characters from Full Metal Alchemist, I'm out.
Well, yeah, but that's
You know what I mean?
if you look at but again, you're trying to say I want the style. Look, my whole point being is you already have the movie. You can do a lot of your 3D animation to make it sped up, but you don't have to make it photorealistic. Is my point. Which is where the cost really is. To get that photorealistic. If you can get 80%, that's what I mentioned the Clone Wars, because a lot of that was done with CGI and things. You don't have to make it 100%, but you can get close.
I would be okay, like you said, with the company whoever put out Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I'm referring to. I'm not referring
never had that kind of chibi faces.
No.
You know what I mean?
Heavy metal.
Yeah,
The original
but
heavy
we're not
metal
talking
was
about
a,
that.
was a good animation style.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not. I mean, what was the?
Was that like that Antonio Sabata Jr.? Was that that Princess of Mars? Was that also like a John Carter, or was that something just kind of?
I think it was, but I don't think it was. Again, the problem that you have is how bad are the special effects? Are they like the 1980s? Super. You can see the strings on stuff. And that's my point is really when you start looking at how much they're spending, look at how much they're spending on stuff like 110, $120 million on special effects, and that's so they can get it photorealistic. In the meantime, I've been watching some of the Indian films, and their special effects aren't quite as good, but they're much more fun to watch. Like if you want to watch Bahubali,
Or you mean like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon back in the day?
No. Crouching Tiger and Hidden Dragon is different. No, I'm talking about if you actually look at because that's the normal wire work that they did for that. What I'm referring to is, and I'm not talking about Creation of the Gods, but if you look at Bahubali, which was about 10 years ago, you can look at it and it's not up to the standards of Hollywood. But you know what? It's fun to watch. You get to watch it where the guy, you have to look at. There's a couple of things in there. One of them is he gets shot. And he can't go into the walled city. He's like, well, what am I going to do? And then they find a bunch of these palm trees, and they bend the palm tree over. They put in a bunch of them, like 6 guys all get together. They hold hands, and then they cut the tree so they get flung over the wall. And, I mean, it's completely ridiculous, but it's fun as hell. And at a certain point, like, okay, I don't, as much as I like realism, there's just sometimes just cut loose, and the Indians just don't care. What I want to say is the modern Indian films are what the films used to be in the United States in the 1980s. We're here, we're big, we're bombastic, and we don't care on what anyone thinks. And it's like, you're here to be entertained. You're like, all right, let me get the popcorn out and not think about it too much and just have fun. There's this, the other one, which is Triple R. If any of you guys have Netflix, go look up Triple R. There's a part where he's fighting English, the English redcoats, and he releases a bunch of tigers and other wild animals. And go look at that fight. He dodges the tiger, and the tiger almost tries clawing at him, but jumps over it instead, hits a redcoat, and it's completely ridiculous. Like, okay, those are fun, but again, those special effects are not at the Hollywood level. But I'm at the point now where I'd rather just didn't be fun. But the reason I just said animation is you can get the look similar to what they did in the movie, but you don't have to make it 100% like the movie where it's the photorealistic. You already have the models effectively, or you should have the models.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay.
The John Carter saga is what, 10 or 11 books?
Yes.
That's right there. Even if you like, which no one ever does, but if you stuck just to the book and try to make it as accurate to the book as possible, you'd have a 20-year plus career of just constant money just coming in, by the truckload.
I'm not even. Oh well, again, I'm not. Part of me goes is, what was funny with he jokes about merchandise. It's yeah, you can make some of the cartoons, but again, some of it is. I'm not saying that it's the giant money maker, but it's a lot cheaper to make, a 10-episode series for, $15 or $20 million than it is to make.
It's not going to get made. It's not going to get made unless there's money to be made.
Well, that's not true if you look at a lot of the modern movies.
Well, yeah, but that's because they're pushing an agenda, and it's a propaganda machine more than a money-making machine. So they're a game.
I think that they're doing Red. They did Red Sonix coming out.
Yes,
and I think that's going to be.
I heard how bad it was.
It's like straight to DVD.
No. It was done by a trans guy who's quote a woman anyway. And you listen to it, well, Red Sonja was objectified, and I went, I think you've missed the whole point of Red Sonja at this.
Well, you just turned me off to watching that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was just listening to it, and you look at it, and like, do you not like? And this is upon my third watch.
Just read the comic books, bro, or get the paperbacks.
Yeah.
If you can find them.
Well, no, I just saw that at Humble Bundle every so often. They have like 20 years of Red Sonja that you can get on PDF. And it's like, oh, okay, for like.
Good luck finding the paperbacks is what I was talking about.
Yeah, no, but you're big into paperbacks. If I want to read it, I'm quite happy with getting the PDF because I can flip through it. And I don't have to worry about destroying it, and I don't have to, I don't have to worry about missing an episode. There
were 6 Red Sonja paperbacks. They're just hard to find. They're not super expensive, but they're hard to find.
I think there were more than that. They were talking, like I said, they talked about there were 20 years of comics for Red Sonja. And
is that Marvel didn't do that much? Are they talking Dynamite then?
I don't know. I'm just saying that if you let me go look at Humble Bundle right now, I think it's in there.
Because I have most of the Red Sonja comic books, and there's not that many. It's definitely like 20 years.
Well, let me check. So the bundles. Let's see. They just have. I thought I just saw it. I don't see it here anymore. But for a while, they had it where every so often. Well, yeah, they do. Right here, it says 20 years of comics. Dynamite's Red Sonja.
Okay.
And they have 13, 28, 4 issues, 5 issues, 3 volumes, 1 volume, 6 issues. And go look at, just go to Humble Bundle right now and go look at it.
I will after the show, which we're going to finish up in 5 minutes.
You can look at, you can put it up right now and like the Humble Bundle.
and they've got, how much is this anyway? They say 42 items, of which the 42 items probably includes a good, 100 different comics.
But it's all PDF, correct?
Yeah. Again,
Because
it depends.
sometimes Humble Bundle is physical products, right?
Rarely, yeah, but let's see. For all of them, it's $20 for all of it. And again, usually whenever they do a physical bundle, that's just because they're releasing a new book at that time.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, you look at it, it's like, okay, we've got Red Sonja, She-Devil with the Sword, 1 through 13. Red Sonja, Volume 1, 1 through 28. Red Sonja, Birth of the She-Devil, 1 through 4. Red Sonja, Superpowers, 1 through 5. Adventures of Red Sonja, Volumes 1 through 3. Further Adventures of Red Sonja, Volume
'Cause
1.
I just picked up the John Carter and the Deja Thoris trade paperbacks. They're pretty
Yeah.
thick.
Yeah.
For like half of that, like $10 each or something. Uh,
Okay, so here's
they're not
what I
that
want
great.
you to do, Shadow. No, I mean, you can put it up on right now. Go to Humble Bundle right now, and I want you to look at, because this is where I'm talking about the differences
Hold
between.
on.
Sure.
Shit. Got too many tabs open.
Okay. I'm just saying that since we're talking about stuff like this, and it's going to be interesting because you can tell the good artwork, and then as it goes further on, the more recent stuff, they start making it just crap.
Yeah.
Which is terrible because you look at it, it's like, I think you've missed part of the point of it. And this is what I was just trying to show for it. It's yeah, but this is what gets me. This is why I get so angry at these people who make these comics, which was the same thing that is it Jason Kingsley? Anyway, that's what he was talking about protecting your IP. Is that these directors and writers want to?
It's
do
not coming
whatever
up,
they
dude.
want. It's what? Oh,
They
for
want me
Humble
to
Bundle?
sign in and shit.
For
Yeah, it's
Humble
not coming
Bundle?
up.
Are you sure? I don't know why
Yeah.
you have to sign in. That's weird. Because I usually don't have to go in when I sign in. Sometimes it's just like, oh, okay. Let's see. So yeah, I just signed out. I go to Humble Bundle, and all I have to do is go to Bundles and go to Books.
Yeah, it's coming up blank, dude.
Really? That's weird.
Yeah.
Because I'm signed out right now, and I get access just fine.
So
Hold on.
George, will we normally go to from about 9 till midnight then? An average session.
Yeah,
you-
it'll be 3 hours. Not next
I don't
week, but
have,
the
I
week
don't have
after.
it needed, but maybe he's on a call
I
with
mean,
someone.
Yeah,
Yeah, here you
it's really up to you guys. I could go another hour from now, but I'm not going to. Mostly because I have church the Sunday morning, early in the morning.
Yeah.
But George, what you think you can do 3 hours?
I could do 3 hours. We used to do like was it 2.5?
Yeah,
early
that's
on,
Like
when
that? Yeah, because I assume we're gonna goof off at the beginning.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I think 3 should be. I'd like to do 3 because it just gives you more time to work with
Yep.
stuff. But I don't know. Me and Shadow are West Coast. No, I'm not West Coast. I'm Mountain Time. You're East Coast time, so I don't want to keep you up till.
He's East Coast. I'm Central. Usually 8 to 11 is fine by me, which would be the equivalent of 7 to 10 for you, and 6 to 9 for Shadow, and then 9 to 12 for.
Yeah, I'm fine with that slot. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty reasonable actually when you look at for a Saturday
Yeah.
for our time periods. But no, however that's going to work. But yeah, but anyway, I was just trying to show off that there's tons of.
no, I'll go look when I don't have so many tabs open. 'Cause right now I've literally got like 2, 4, 6 tabs open because I didn't want to. I was working on my Dungeons and Laser stuff, and all the instructions are digital now, which is irritating. But whatever. So for next week and the week after, George is going to be working on the game behind the scenes. I may come up with a just a sci-fi topic for the Shadow Chat. If not, I wouldn't mind talking about the sci-fi version of the God Wars, or if any of you guys out there in TV Land or any of you guys here have some other topic you'd like to discuss. Otherwise, most of my time right now is spent working on my own, either my superhero game on Earth, but like more in the line of the TV show Heroes, like no spandex at first at least, or my Savage Sword uh, RPG that I'm going to be running using the Savage Sword rules from the Red Room.
Oh, cool.
So I will be looking for some players for that. Bo's already signed up. Mark from Mark's Genre Mixer is signed up for that, and I'm probably going to keep. There's a good chance with the Savage Sword game, I'm going to run two completely different groups, the same adventure to play test it. But I really don't want more than 4 players for that because it's a Conan-esque thing, and you don't need a big adventuring party. You need 2 or 3 guys, 4 tops to do that. And I'm going to be. I'm still working on both games, so if you guys have some other thing you'd like to discuss, then let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to say adios, everybody. You guys in the show, stick around when I ended a couple of backroom things. Everybody else out there in TV land, thank you guys for coming in, sticking around, and playing along. Fred, it's been a friggin' forever since we talked, and everybody else out there, thank you so much. This morning's video is close to like 100 views, which blows away any video I've done in the last like year. By myself, by leaps and bounds. In some cases, a couple I got lucky, but it's really, really, really a good feeling knowing that you guys all came just to see Jackie, not the old guy, and he really appreciates that. So, with all that, have a great weekend. Love you guys, and happy trails.